G'day, citizens. Welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute. We're starting early. You're probably not going to be here for another 40 minutes, but that's totally fine. Grim's going to go early, so I thought, well, let's just start early, and then he can stay for longer. That made sense to me.
There you go.
And there's a couple of you waiting there in chat, and you're
I like to
probably
rock the boat.
Yeah, that's fine. The old man can't make it. He's crook as a dog. And I've had to get people to fill in for him left, right, and center all over the place. Paul's helping with the episodes this weekend for the recorded stuff, but we hope he gets well soon. So he's probably listening in. Not on him, he's already awake. But he'll be sitting there croaky as hell, doing his thing. So yeah, we wish him well. So how are you, Grim? You have a good week?
I am good. It was a fun week, Alien Week kicked off or whatever. I guess I just consider it Alien Day at this point. It seems like it was all compiled into one day, but it was fun. It was a good one, something to actually talk about and look forward to, unlike years past where it was sort of the same stuff. So I'm sure we're going to get into that, but so that was fun. Otherwise, I was just been a busy time at work, and I've started doing some initial planning for a in-person Star Jump Bar Citizen, which will be the first time I've ever done anything like this. So that's a whole other level of stress.
I think 1 year I will come to the States. I don't know when, but I'd like to come around and see some people and stuff. So I don't know when that'll be, but like down the road. We've obviously got time on our hands, the way this thing's going.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
But I think the first thing we'll talk about is the invites. There's obviously going to be a hot topic. If you haven't seen, check the Reddit. There are some. Looks like they're inviting some content creators, which kind of lined up with the info I still had. So I know Paul was like the sky is falling, but I didn't have anything from that. Agra didn't have any info like that. I don't know if you had it. Did you hear anything about it? Big extended to next year.
I saw it on X. Someone posted, I forget who it was, posted they got an invite. It was actually I think it was a French streamer. So I was like reading the translation. I was like, oh, that's interesting, but maybe it's fake. And then I said, well, let me go check my email, and it was in my spam email. But I did get an invite. But I've heard of a couple non-content creators getting invites as well. But people that sort of have a big presence. So I don't really know what the the metric is that they're going by. So
if it's anything like their ship tours, it's a Bix.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah,
when I went on the ship tours, there was content creators, there was a few normal people, and they weren't like huge, massive backers. They were just people that they'd picked because they were passionate. I don't actually have no idea why they picked them, but I talked to a few of them, and they were just regular backers. So,
yeah, to me, it's the one thing I will say. It feels a little bit like the just reading some of the stuff on X and different Discords. I've had a lot of people messaging me and stuff. People upset that so-and-so didn't get in, or that they themselves didn't get in, or why did this person get an invite, stuff like that. And very reminiscent of the Odin email situation. So it's always going to sort of court controversy. So
yeah, if you stand back and look at it though, with your big boy pants on, influencers or content creators are going to put the word out way further than a regular Joe Blow can. And that's why predominantly they're going to be invited, because then they talk about it and then everyone knows about it. It's that simple. In fact, I'd almost just go as far certain content creators are better than others. Like people that cover new people would probably be the better way to go, because you're probably going to find.
Yeah, and for me personally, I can't speak to it. Only CIG can speak to it. But like throughout the time that I've been around, it's not like I've had like any like huge contacts like within CIG that are just shepherding me along. I've had a few brief contacts with different people just related to Fleet Viewer and other stuff like that, and I've met some people, but no one that like controls this aspect of it where certain people get chosen. But what I will say,
I think you're underestimating yourself, sir. You still talk to Paul Jones.
What I will say is
they don't talk to me.
Well, I will say, I think a big change happened for me in terms of like quote unquote being noticed when I went to Quantum Vegas, which is the big Bar Citizen event that Soul Citizens put on. people were there, Sandy, Calaxtica, Xylo, stuff like that. And I had seen and met Xylo before, but just in general, like I felt like that was the first time that like, oh, okay, what is Star Jump? They kind of maybe took a little bit of notice, but yeah, no, it was cool to get the invite. I will have,
you'll know when they remember your name. That's how me and Argrid, because they'd walk up and they went, hey, X, hey, Argrid, like they knew who we were. So that when they use your name, then you know. So when they work up and say, hey, Glenn, you'll know.
Yeah, but it was cool to get invited. I don't know if I'll be able to go. October is a horrible month for me. It's my daughter's birthday, my dad's birthday. I have a big work thing I have to do in October. So it's like if I could choose one month to not, that like is not good for travel, it's October. Like any other month is good. I like it. I could even go more on like a big US holiday even is fine for me to travel, but October's the worst month. So it's not a good likelihood that I'll be able to go, but I was honored to be invited. I'm excited for Squadron 42. Those that do go, if I don't go, I'm hoping they have a great time. We'll see how it ends up for me. The big thing that kind of was interesting to me though is that it's a 3-day event, so I'm kind of curious what's going to go on there. I would imagine if it's a 3-day event, this is just not like an early peak. I imagine this is leading up to release, a big release day sometime soon after.
If I was a betting man, it'll be 1 day is a bar citizen at the start, like a meet and greet, which is similar to what happened at CitizenCon, right? The actual event, which is probably the gala, I would be willing to bet money that it's the gala, and then the third day, and you could swap these last 2 days around, is playing the game.
Yeah, and look, I think this thing is super cool, and again, whoever at CIG threw my name on the list, I'm very thankful. Thank you very much. I guess the thing I'm more excited about, though, because again, like I said, I may not be able to go. The thing I'm more excited about, though, is I'm excited for all the Star System players that it looks like we're finally getting to the end of this road. And there's going to be a sense of, and I think this could be said for anyone who's been following the game for a long time, and I would even argue for someone like you or something who's been following even longer than I have, like, when it finally gets into players' hands, there's going to be a little bit of like a relief. Like you can almost take a breath and exhale because like people have it now. Now, whether they like it or not is up to them, but it's there. They have it. You know what I mean? And you talk about milestones being ticked off. Boom. What a big milestone. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it was even like that when they did the line trailer. It was very vindicating of how cool it was and how cool it felt. Like we'd kind of been sitting here for literal years and hadn't heard anything. I think the reason I always wanted to go, the reason we went to last CitizenCon, right, was because we always knew when the game finally came out, they'd be able to talk about it a lot more. And my interviews have always been my thing. You can ask Alfred that. I'm just really good at convincing people to talk to me. It's just I have the gift of the gab. I don't know what else to call that, right? And you'll even agree. I do get a lot of us together a lot. Like I'm the one that organizes everyone, right? And pulls us all together. Tier list shows, whatever it is. That's what I do. But that's what I want. I want to be able to sit down and actually talk about the game and find out what comes out. Now, they're going to have good things to say, bad things to say, but I think regardless, it is going to be a monumental event. Almost like releasing it to the world and seeing what the greater, wider public thinks of it all is going to. That's the part I'm excited to see. Is it going to be actual vindication for CIG? And I mean that in the greater world. Are people going to play this and go, "Wow, this is amazing," or are they going to go, "Oh, this is garbage"? Like, that's what I'm interested to see.
Yeah, and I see JoJo in chat. JoJo, nice to see you. I'll say this. I'll say this. I was talking to someone about this earlier. It was actually about my shows through DefenseCon and the numbers I was getting. I'm sure you all had the same. I know Space Tomato, I've talked to him about it. He had like super high viewership numbers during DefenseCon. Yeah. And a lot of people had a lot of reasons for that. But I have been thinking a lot about that recently. Like, man, the attention on DefenseCon this year was so high. It makes me wonder when Squadron comes out, we may be at a place where it does capture the gaming zeitgeist.
When I was watching Paul's stream yesterday, he went to that International World Bar Citizen, whatever the fuck it was called. I don't know the name of the week for the Bar Citizen. And he literally said one of the things he found out that is Invictus is their highest number of people actively engaging with the game. So even more than CitizenCon and
wow.
IAE. Now I have always assumed it would have been IAE, but it must be something. You're the American here, right? So I'm going to put this back to you. But that must be, and I know Space Tomato always has issues with IAE because he has to go do what's the thing with the turkeys you guys do? Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, yeah.
So I'm wondering if that's why Invictus is the bigger one. Not because it's just.
I wouldn't doubt it.
But because of Thanksgiving.
I wouldn't doubt it, and I think a lot of Americans would tell you from about mid-October to the end of the year, it's crazy for us because think about it. We have Halloween, then boom, Thanksgiving, then Christmas. It's like boom, 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 all in a row. Tons of people are traveling at that time period. So Memorial Day, which is what's up?
It's almost like you've been set up to milk you of cash every month with a holiday. It's like you're stupid. Like, come on, guys,
it's very like it's very much like that. But
you don't need
on the flip side, but get this, on the flip side though, think about this. May is really great especially for the US because people are in good moods in May because a lot of people are starting to get time off of work or summer Fridays, which happens to me.
You're in the summer.
We have Memorial Day.
May's getting cold as fuck. Where I am, colds and runny noses and all that bullshit. No, fuck that right off.
I think people in the U.S. too in May. You were a lot of the states that were frigid during those winter months. May is when it first starts feeling like summer a little bit. Everyone's mood changes a bit because it's the gray rain. There's all the rain from spring has stopped too. I think people are just in a good mood. They're ready to game. They're ready to have a good time. And then that combined with some of the stuff CIG's been doing on their end, I think DefenseCon and stuff just had substantially more eyes on it than in any previous year. And I do have to wonder how that's going to go with Squadron this year or even IAE later this year. I'm really interested to see.
Now, I want you to take
if that momentum can continue.
I want you to take a step back before you answer this because I know you've got biased shoes on. Do you think the Drake theme helped? 5 seconds, step back, then answer.
Yeah. I think it helped simply because it was different.
Yeah,
people didn't know what to expect. I think from from just a branding standpoint, it allowed CIG to just swing wildly over here, give people something unexpected. And I think if they do this for a couple years, which I think they're going to do, because I do think next year is going to be all about DefenseCon as well, mainly because they put a lot of effort into the setup for DefenseCon. We know the Kraken's coming. I think it'll be DefenseCon again next year. But what that sets it up for is whenever they do decide to bring Invictus back, that's going to be big again too, because it's going to be new again. You know what I mean?
I'll be honest with you. I don't know why they don't have it so it changes every couple of years to be something different. I actually like the theme mix up and change. In fact, I'd almost say that the only problem I've ever had with Invictus is it's so combat themed. I've always just wondered why they didn't just take AIE and almost duplicate it. Why not sell the industrial ships? Well, okay, partially because there's not as much gameplay there. I get that part of it, but you can see what I mean. Like, because I always get questions: can I get the Endeavor? Can I get this ship that I want? And I have to go, sorry, you have to wait until AIE, which is now another 6 months away. And I feel like an asshole. But
I mean, there's so many opportunities for them to build in those other sales events, not only through lore, but through the event. I mean, there's no reason that if they did make Invictus that time period every year, that they couldn't just have Drake, say, well, we're not going to let Invictus, the UEE, stop us. We're now going to have a yearly defense con every month in June, whatever, July or whatever month you want to call it. I think it's probably more determinant. It's more determined by CIG's ship pipeline, their development pipeline for ships. So, from that standpoint, I guess they could put things wherever. But what I do think is based off the funding. I do think they learned a lot about this sales period and how valuable it is to the studio. I mean, I think they've been learning that for a few years now, to be fair. But I think I think they sold a lot of ships. I mean, and here's the thing: the defense con nature of it doesn't prevent them from selling UEE focused military ships. I mean, the Odin went on sale. There's a giant hologram for that. I'm all but convinced next year's defense con we'll see the Liberator come out from Anvil. I mean, I think it'll be all UE Navy themed. So, the opportunities are there.
I'm not convinced like you. I do agree it could. I'll give you could. But I think more than likely, knowing what's happened with some other ships, certain ships get delayed. And the reason why I think that will get delayed is it's the first of the kind of bigger Anvil they've done in a really long time. Like when you've got Drake and RSI and RSI and Misk, where's the Anvil? There's no other Anvil, right? So when you kind of they're going back into a set that they haven't touched in a while, I think that gives me the okay. I can and also separating it from the Kraken, two big ships like that. I'd love it. Well, don't get me wrong, I would love it, but I've got to that whole step back thing and try and look at it realistically, which I've had to do a lot more. And like, man, you know how deep I used to go. I used to go into fantasy land. So I've been a lot more realistic with things since the Rambler. Let's just put it that way.
I look at it like this, and not to tangent us right away, but I guess we're still talking about Defense Con. But I think we'll be able to tell a little bit what next year's Defense Con looks like. That'll start to come in focus the further we get through this year. Specifically regards to the Liberator, I think if we do see another Anvil ship come out later this year, that may signal that, okay, they're pushing hard on the Anvil kit. Because I do agree with you. The Anvil...
Just on a slight tangent, I think that's the other thing we'll agree on. The Anvil won't be... The Liberator won't be coming alone. There'll be some other Anvil thing around there. The other thing I could probably give you to go counterpoint to myself is the Valkyrie and the Asgard. They did work on ships underneath and the Paladin, right? So there is a bit of kit there, but it's not in the same breadth. It's not. It's
definitely not in the same breadth. I've been saying pretty openly. I know. I mean, you had this conversation too. That especially with ships like the Odin, which again I think is 5 to 7 years away. They've got to build out a lot more Anvil stuff to get up to anywhere near those scales. Now, the one argument I would say for possibly seeing the Liberator alongside the Kraken next year is they do really play in different regimes. I mean, the Kraken at flight ready price is going to be a 2K ship all day long, $2,000 or more. The Liberator is going to be more in that 600 to 650 range, and I think that does create a nice, a large and your capital and the Kraken's hull limited. So the Liberator would essentially be your ironclad for next year. Now, one thing I think we could possibly see, I don't think it's completely off the table, is possibly a Liberator variant. I think that's very possible.
I have to look at, because look at Trev's right. The traditional price increase is 10 to 20%. At 20%, it would be $320 increase. So that doesn't get past 2,000. Really.
That's true. Yeah.
But the Privateer, that's a different story. So the Privateer,
different story,
But again, they have been breaking a lot more of their pricing structures. And like as I said, we had two outliers last year with or the year before as well. The Polaris went up 30%, and then we also had the Triage, which only went up 5%. I want to say Triage, I mean Apollo. They both went up 5%. So we have these outliers that go either way, right? So they're making price adjustments either way due to cost. So I would not rule out it going over 2,000, like you said.
Another funny thing about the Liberator and Kraken sort of thing, like both happening next year that I keep thinking about, is this year we had the two ironclads for sale, right? And then the Odin sort of was in the background, semi overshadowing the event. If you remember, Ann and Arden in one of the Defense Con trailers even like made that kind of joke that, hey, the Odin is here, but whatever. I could see next year that script getting flipped a little bit where, okay, Anvil's showing off the Liberator and maybe it's a Liberator Assault variant or whatever, but then Drake has the last laugh because they've got the big boy waiting in the wings with the Kraken. You know what I mean? Sort of like play off of that a little bit. It seemed like a very Drake thing to do to sort of try to upstage Anvil, but we'll see. We'll see.
Hawk there in chat says BM back in development after Kraken, and I think having the Kraken out and a want or a need or a desire to work on the privateer, having both the privateer and Banner Merchantman base building will start to be done in 2027. Ops would be then ripe to do right after that. So I actually think release for 2028 for those two would make sense to me. I don't know if you disagree.
Yep. I completely agree. I completely agree. This is something I was talking about. I think I was talking about with you the other day too, where if you plan it out, if you go with what John Cruz said, which he said maybe, possibly the BMM would go back into pre-production end of this year. Let's say it goes into production in January next year, like full-on production, working on it for a year and a half till Alien Week the following year or some other time next year, puts it squarely in 2028. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. My only concern, you talked about ships getting paused all the time. My only concern, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it, was that talk from Benoit yesterday. A lot of people were eagerly awaiting that, and I won't tangent us too much. We'll stay on topic, but I walked away from that talk not loving it.
We're going to talk about everything, right? So I'm already taking notes of things that I wanted to tangent to that you've said. That's why I got out the pen, by the way, so I don't forget them.
Well,
so if you want to add that to the tangent list, we can.
Well, I'll just say this is related to the base building thing, and that when I was watching that SCL yesterday, I was probably one of the few that was like, I don't like what I'm hearing, because what I was hearing was, we're sorry the game is not real playable right now. We may have to forego some features in upcoming patches to get the game playable. And as you very well know, and I'm pretty unapologetic in saying, I want 1.0. So I want the game to be broken so they can get features in and then fix it in the like optimize and bug squash and beta. So for me, I'm a little concerned that base building could possibly get delayed again. If they decide to like focus the rest of this year on getting the game really playable, especially for a possible Squadron launch, which would, from a business perspective, make sense. But I did leave the talk a little bit like, I don't know, that doesn't. I'm a little concerned about what I'm hearing. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. I think you are making a game, but the other part of it is, right, like, listen to the overall community. They just want to play it. And they've now inherently created a problem.
Most people do.
Where there's a game that's in active development, and essentially, for love it or hate it, it's a live service now. That's what it is.
Yeah,
it's an incomplete live service, but that's how you got to treat it now.
And I got in a big conversation with some people in my Discord the other day about this, and got a little tense. And I had to make sure I remind everyone, I'm actually not throwing any sort of shade on CIG. If anything, I sympathize with the problem they have to deal with, because they're in a real tricky predicament where they're using a unique funding model that means something needs to be playable. It also is not a good look for raising money when it's not playable. At the same time, you still need to build it. It's just a very complex problem. And I can almost guarantee you that any game company out there, no matter how good or bad the company is, this would not be an easy problem for any of them to solve.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? CIG is not like you. I don't look at it as some sort of mismanagement thing or anything. I think Rockstar or any of the big game companies would find this a very tricky problem to solve. And I just, when I watched it the other day, I was like, oof, okay, I hope we don't start getting features delayed yet again to make the game playable. And then I started thinking about base building, and then I started thinking about base building ships getting delayed, and just I could see sort of how that was shaping up to be. But I will say, I mean, I could be totally wrong though.
I almost wish there was like a third how do I call it? They used to call it like Wave 1 or whatever. So you have Eva Cardi, and then almost like a testing group that they know they're walking into a shit show, right? And then the live environment. So if you want to actively go in and play the shit show, you can go in and play the shit show. And it's so basically the live environment only gets updated like once a quarter or however long they choose. But if you want more frequent updates, and you're happy to play with the newer features, do you know what I mean? That's kind of how I would do it. So both groups can be appeased, unless it's not too much more work for CIG. I don't know, but maybe that's a way to keep people happy. I don't know. There's no perfect solution though.
No, there isn't. And look, I say this with someone who really, truly does sympathize with both sides of the argument. Even though I want a 1.0 sort of side of the fence. You know, my show producer Art, he is extremely active Star System player with his org. They play every day, sort of thing. They're really, all about they want 1.0 as well, but they're all about the now. And so I sympathize with that too. And so I really, it's just a very tricky problem to solve. But going back to sort of that ship discussion, we know ships like, specifically base building ships. We know they've done a lot of work there. We know the Pioneer's gotten work. We know the Starlancer build has probably gotten significant work. The CSB FM, that hover trolley, we know that stuff's there. I do hope we get an update soon on not only where base building is, but where that drone level gameplay is at, how the UX for that stuff is coming along. It's actually been quite a while since we've gotten an update, and it really is the next big feature. Star System.
I'll tell you this: if we both end up going to Manchester this year, I will call in some favors and see if I can get a lunch with me, you, and John and Ben. And
it would be cool
if they're prepared to go the gauntlet again and see the shit that comes out the other side. Because I don't know, probably wasn't that nice for them last time. But I firmly believe they got some feedback from me and Argrid, and they. We know how critical we are. We say the good and the bad as we see it. So, yeah.
Well, and it's probably also interesting as the devs. I mean, it would be for me to hear what some of the ship focus people say anyway, even if what they say is technically wrong, like maybe they don't have an understanding of something that's not been made public coming down the pipe or something, but still just hearing what the perspective is so that you can sort of,
really good at obfuscating what was coming down the pipe. They almost completely told us the opposite. And after that happened once or twice, where you just realized no, they were very good at trolling. Well, again, they, not them specifically, but there were other people at CIG that told us it wasn't Drake. And they must have sat there in their offices for the entire year, laughing their asses off every time we said it wasn't Drake. So I've now learned that if I go back there, don't listen to a fucking thing they say. Basically.
Hey, they've got to have fun too, right? They've got to have fun too.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, here's what I will say. I mean, I think I still think from now till next Defense Con, we're in for a lot of stuff. And it's probably, let's just take the next 12 months from where we are now in June to next June. We're in for quite possibly the biggest, most foundationally important 12 months we've ever seen in Star Citizen or within this project, because we just came off the biggest sales event probably ever. I'd have to check the numbers.
Yep,
we're on the cusp of Squadron 42 releasing, and it probably will release in the next 12 months.
That's the next thing I want to talk about.
We'll be going into IAE, which is always a big deal. We're supposed to still get core tech this year, according to Chris Roberts. Now, it could be delayed, but what was the one thing he said was coming this year? Dynamic server meshing. And then we lead into next year, leading all the way up into the best ship releasing that they've ever concepted, which is the Kraken, obviously. So that is a pretty wild 12 months in this project. You know what I mean?
No.
So it's exciting. It's exciting.
No, I agree. Look, so the Squadron 42 announcement actually has a few things here that I want to talk about. One, it's pretty much essentially confirmed that it is coming this year. I think that's the big takeaway you should take away from this. Not whether you got invited or not or whatnot. It pretty much confirmed, because if they've sent those out wide to content creators, they knew that this was going to come out, and they knew that That's essentially they were announcing it was coming. But I want to ask you, do you think it means Gamescom now? Because I think it's almost a foregone conclusion at this point. Now it's out in the wild. We're literally looking at less than Gamescom is August the 26th.
Yeah. The only right, August 26th. I think it's very possible we could see something there.
Well, we know they're going, by the way. They've already told us they're going.
Right. Oh, okay. So they're going. I would think that, yes, we're going to hear something. The other thing too is if you look at the date, I think it's what is it, August 10th to 12th or 9th to 12th, something like that for this event, this private event.
There's a private event. Wait. Oh, you mean in October?
The event, the invite.
You said August, so you threw me.
Oh, sorry. So October. Yeah. So that you have that private event. There is nothing stating though, because they just said there was no CitizenCon this year. There is nothing stating that right after that private event, there is going, or hell, during it, there could be an exclusive first look at Squadron 42 for the public. That maybe it's a video or something. That goes full bore into it, full release, the whole thing. I mean, we don't know what's coming. I guarantee you that private event is not the only thing Squadron happening in October.
100%. If they had the gala and they had like stars there of any description, they would utilize that as a live stream marketing tool without even blinking. That invite press, when you got stars there as well, they'd probably call along Entertainment Tonight, and because that gets it out to the normal people, not just the gamers and stuff. So yeah.
And obviously not to read too much into it, but I know it had been mentioned on a few of the Discords, obviously that particular weekend is the 41st month of the year, and then the following day after that private event is the 42nd beginning of this 42nd month of the 42nd month of or week of the year. So maybe there's something to that, maybe not. That could be reading into it too much, but you never know. I mean,
just Paul Pete's there in chat. If he gets an invite, he better bloody turn up. He doesn't go outside, but he better turn up. If he doesn't, there's going to be. I went all the way around the world last time, right? And I actually went to his city to see him, and he wouldn't come 15 minutes up the road to see me because I'd had COVID the week before. Even though I had a clear test and I was clear, wouldn't come see me. What an asshole!
He wanted to make sure you knew where you stood.
But I went to, I got to go to Nottingham, so I got to go to Sherwood Forest, which was a big thing for me because I was a huge fan of Robin Hood as a kid. So it was really cool. But
very cool.
Yeah. All right. So what I want to talk about next is, that's really weird. So because it's not, there's no segue here, right? Is the two. As I've been told to pronounce it, is the Tului, but I think it's the Tului, but whatever.
I've been just calling it Tului.
Yeah,
that's what I've been calling it.
I started calling it. Right. Well, you heard me. I started calling it the Lilu because it was easy to remember. Because I know Fifth Element, but I don't know these random names. They're going to get the message soon enough and make them 2 syllables, not 3, because Australians shorten everything. And if it like Sulian is too long, so I just call it Suli. Stuff like that. I just, I'm going to meme it. Again, there's something we'll talk about later today, and I'll show you why I'm memeing on it. You'll see. I called it the Pulu. Yep. You'll see why when we get to it. So we are going to move into that a little bit after this. Anyway, but one of the things I want to talk about is the very first thing I noticed when I saw this was it breaks the law, and the first thing Agrid said to me, and the first thing Paul said to me is it breaks the law. I was the first, and I was just like, they've done it again. And so there's 2 parts to this. I want to talk about the ship.
Okay.
But I also want to talk about, I guess, what Paul's calling framing, or what I would call rules, because it is a game, and at some point, as designers, you have to start following your own rules, and they're not following their own rules, right? They want to make all this cool shit, right? I get that, but at some point, you have to start. How can you play a game if there's no rules? You know what I mean?
Right.
So they've got to start putting it into. They've got to start following their law. Right, and they've broken it drastically in the past, like really badly. Like they totally flipped what Crusader was, stuff like that, right? And you can sit here and say the law doesn't matter, and I agree, gameplay does trump law. But at some point, you've got to follow. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying without me repeating myself? So I kind of want to know how you feel about that first. We'll start there.
So yeah, I've been thinking a little bit about this. I've had a few people bring this up to me, and my feeling on it is that I think that adhering to the lore will be a big thing at some point. I think for right now, I think CIG is working to, we're going to create what we're going to create, and lore will adapt to us and change and update to us. They haven't got to that stage where they're at like, okay, now we need to shift where the gameplay devs are adhering to lore. We're in the phase where lore needs to adhere to whatever they build, which is not what probably a lot of people want to hear, but I do think that's the phase we're in.
They never seem to want to retcon anything either, right? And so it just hangs there in the air like this, and there's no one else.
But I think we've seen it.
Go ahead.
I think we have seen it with other manufacturers, though, too, as you've said. And in terms of like CIG nudging them in directions that they weren't previously, and I think we're going to see more of that. For example, it's very clear that Drake has been nudged a bit over the past few years, and they've tied it into lore because they've got a new CEO and this, that, and the other, but they've been pushed. I am interested to see what CIG does with Aegis now that we're in the post-Messer era. Like, are they going to nudge them in a certain way? I think they're just trying to sort of figure out, okay, we have these manufacturers, we have some base lore for them, but what do we truly want them to be as we go into this, 1.0 world? And I think that's what they're figuring out.
Certain restrictions actually does create creativity. So having it completely open as well, how when you've got those restrictions and it just becomes really cool because they worked with inside those restrictions. So they need some lore tie-in. Again, like the look of certain ships is, that they have this look and shared look on all the ships. That is a restriction, right? And that shared manufacturing bond. But you can have it go into other things like gameplay. Like one of the ones I talked about was, how we were talking about how cool it would have been that the boxes came down like they were meant to on the Raelian. Well, then that tech, if it was a new tech, and I don't believe it would have been because it was just animations, but the point stands is, couldn't you then use that new tech on other Zion ships? And you could have done, right? So that's kind of where I go with this. Like, if you make a certain thing, then you can keep using that thing.
The funny thing about this, though, with the Tului specifically, though, is it was obviously a decision because you could have just reworded the description of the ship to be a general purpose carrier or something like that, and it takes that combat focused element
I would bet
away
money.
From it. Now, people may use it for that, but
I would bet money after my discussions with Ben and John, they didn't even check. Right? They just went, what can we make this into? We know people want a pocket carrier. Let's make a pocket carrier. And let's be honest, and I heard Pete say this as well, it has a really good use of the 3D space. It really utilizes that space way better than a human ship would, right?
I was talking to someone the other day. I mean, imagine what this could mean for larger alien ships, like not even carrier necessarily, but like, let's take a large salvage ship, that's Arastra size, so 100 meters or something. Imagine what they could do with the space when walls and ceilings can become usable. So
I went even further because they talked about the Zion being the masters of magnets and all that as well. Imagine you're mining and all the ores coming in and automatically going out into sorting bins.
Yeah, and
the shit, what do you call it? Just automatically goes out the back of them, at the back of the what's it called? The inert. The inert just automatically goes out the back.
Just gets ejected out the
back.
And
it's just a flying tube.
It gets filled up into the colon and then eventually released. Here, to play devil's advocate for CIG for a minute, though, on this whole lore thing, and I know, and here's the thing, I am really big into lore. While I'm still kind of getting into it with Star Citizen. Many other games I play, I would be considered like a Paul Shelley lore expert. Let's put it that way. So, but what I will say is,
he's talking about his website that has My Little Pony and Barbie on it, if you're wondering. Yeah, that was it. Yep.
But to play devil's advocate for them, I do think it's really difficult for these guys right now, or I just use like the entire team when they're making a new ship. It's like, okay, we're making the Raylan, and someone in there goes, someone within the ship team goes, you know what? It wouldn't be too difficult to make a variant of this. Blah blah blah. It's like, how much of a pain in the ass is it to go? Okay, now we need to call every stakeholder team in the company, cross-check with them that this is viable according to the Lord. Is there a gameplay? All this stuff before we can make these decisions. Sometimes I think they just go with it. And
you got the ship pipeline though, but wouldn't the first port of call be the law team? Like, are they not even a part of the ship pipeline? Like that was what I said to myself. I just want to, just real quick before you answer that. So I just want to, because we actually can directly address what the issue is. So the first thing is we're talking about if I have some tea, then I need to go to the loo and do a wee. That's how I remember it. Tea, loo, wee. Is technically not an industrial ship, right? So Gattac are an industrial Zion manufacturer. That is a combat ship, right? And if it's a combat ship, then therefore it's not industrial. So therefore they've broken their law about attack. Apoa are meant to only make light, small combat craft. So they wouldn't. Apoa wouldn't even make like a capital carrier or anything like that. So there's going to be another manufacturer that does that. So I do have a solution though. So we'll talk about it in a bit. But what were you going to say before I cut you off?
I was just going to say that I do think there's enough gray area though that like I don't know if I consider this ship a combat carrier. Like, in the same way that like the Liberator, now I do think the Liberator is going to get upgunned significantly, but the Liberator doesn't have a lot of armament.
Are you going to make me pull out the video where he says that it's for snub and snubcraft, and it caters to the
Yes.
The fuck?
I think I just saw your spirit left your body.
My lights just went off and came back on. I don't know. Yeah, something like that. Anyway. But they said the combat snubs it's tailored to the combat snubs. As soon as you tailor it to the combat snubs, then it's a combat craft because it's catering to combat craft.
Yeah, I mean they actually like you say, they sort of leaned into it being that role. I guess I'm saying that like it's technically supporting combat and not like a frontline combat ship itself. I would say the same for the Liberator. I would not say the same for the Kraken because it's bristling with armament. Now, again, I say that with the intent that I do think the Liberators are going to get upgunned significantly, but I just mean that like these ships that are supporting combat, I wish CIG would name them support ships and not combat ships because it's a little bit of a misnomer. I think even for people maybe interested in buying
I can give you a support craft and I can technically, but this thing's also bristling with guns. And it's also got extra turrets above the Raelian.
Does.
Which clearly where the pilots of the snub are sitting when they're not in the snubcraft. Right?
Yeah.
Now this is my solution that I have, but I also found someone had the same solution on Reddit, so I thought that I would just bring that up, and that is simply the Zion snubcraft that they now have to build. They must build one because why would they make a snubcraft? Because they're aliens. They wouldn't make it for the human market, so it guarantees they've got to make one. And as you can see here, if they made it a mining or salvage snub or both. Why not have variants? You got the Fury and the Fury LX, so why not have the Pulu? That's what I was going to call it. The Pulu Miner and the Pulu Salvager, or Pulu M and the Pulu S, or something like that. And that's why I'm calling it Pulu, because they'll stop using stupid names, right? That's what we're going to call it from now on. That snubcraft, until it comes out and they give it a decent name, is the Pulu. But you see where I'm going, right? If you had industrial snubs, all of a sudden you can industrial skew it back to Gattac and it doesn't break the law. It was built for the Pulu. Now they use it on combat. The humans have decided to use it on combat craft as well. So you can lure it in that they went back and added extra turrets to it because the humans were using it as a combat craft.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Law fixed.
That makes total sense. Yeah, and I do. I am rather curious about. See, again, this is what I think we lose a little bit with ships not being in the concept phase and CIG actively covering their concept work, which we don't get anymore either. Is that we sort of lose some of the reasoning for why certain things are made. So, for example, we found entity strings in the client for a rail-in with salvage tractor beams on it. Again, don't read too much into that, but we did find out. That being said, like it does make you wonder, like, why did they have that discussion internally that said, oh, let's do a rail-in variant. Should we do a salvage one, a mine? No, let's do a snub carrier. I told you last night that it's interesting how the rail-in and the Tului mirror the Ironclad and Ironclad Assault in terms of their focus. It's just very interesting that we just had that Defense Con and then followed up directly, almost identical in Alien Week. You know what I mean? It's just an interesting decision. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall and know what led to that. You know?
I always say worst to best, and you could argue that the Raelian probably does cargo better than the Ironclad does because it's quicker, and you could probably argue that it is a more dedicated snubcraft than the Ironclad Assault. Just saying. So, you know, what's really the difference between 4 snubcraft in a much smaller, faster ship, and was it 6 in the Assault?
Yeah, to be fair, in the Assault you can get a little creative. It's, you know, on a size. I think the Assault I would put it a size above the Raelin or the Tului, sorry, in terms of its capabilities, but not like a full doubling, but like a little bit higher.
But again,
it's just kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting. It would, like, if you had said, "Hey,
I would rather
there's going to be Raelin variants. What do you think's coming?" This would have been the last thing I thought was coming.
But going into combat, I'd rather take the Tului into combat than the Ironclad Assault because of the turrets and the guns and the size and all that type of thing. Like, you're more likely to survive, in my personal opinion. But I digress. Something else that I think bears a lot more fruit that I want to go over today is this. I'm also going to use Reddit here as well because that's where I first found it. Is Ollie43 is joining the CIG staff as a content manager. I think this is really, really good. Really, really good.
Yeah, I talked to Ollie about this, actually.
Yeah, they've... I've never had the pleasure of meeting Ollie, to be honest with you, but they had to pick someone, right? We've been saying them for years they need to get someone from the community. I think he is... fairly high up there in terms. He's had a kid, so his life's changing a little bit. So he probably wants something more stable.
He's got a really big community, and he's done content on other games as well. So it's not like he's just like a Star Citizen sycophant. You know, he's got kind of experience with a lot of different IPs and properties. 10
plus years on YouTube. He also lives in the UK, so they don't have to transfer him or anything. He's probably going to move from, I think he's in London or something like that, or wherever. He's probably going to move to Manchester, but you know, cost down, all that type of thing.
My connection to Ollie, it's not like we talk every day and far from it, but the connection there was he reached out one time asking where was the best place to figure out how to work with the Blender models and all that. And I directed him to the Star Citizen modding community, people like Piggles and stuff like that, VMXCO and all that. And we just, every now and then, we'll send a message to each other. But when I saw that he had joined, I sent him a DM and just said, hey, Ollie, congratulations. I think you're going to make a great, you know, ambassador for the game and the community, and I'm really happy for you on this. He wrote back and told me how thankful he was, and he's really excited, and he seems to have a lot of energy going into it. So I'm really, he is I'll say this, I've met a lot of creators and stuff. He is generally a really nice dude, and I'm happy for him.
I still find it funny that he's like one of the biggest subscriber counts in the Stars community, and if you read some of these community comments, people are like, "Who is this nobody?" And so it just shows me no matter who they picked, there would have been people pissed off, right? So, you know, I'm glad they picked someone. They seem to have been really reluctant after what happened with the guy from Big Brother all those years ago to ever pick another person. But clearly they need some help in that area, and apparently he's going to be working behind camera with Jared, and that'll be awesome. So it'll get their YouTube channel up and stuff. And leading into the release of Squadron, really good time to come on board because you can help with those trailers and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, and Parker says it there in chat, and I think this is 100% true. He is a real gamer, and he enjoys gaming. He enjoys community. He knows how important community is, and even in a behind-the-scenes role like that, I think he's going to be a big boon for the rest of us. And again, he's bringing. And they get this all the time because they've hired people from the community before, but he's bringing, again, more fresh, new community perspective to the way they do things. You know what I mean?
Really quick for Pete's benefit, Pete's asking what happened to the Big Brother dude. There was so much backlash, the next week they removed him. He basically came on and said, I'm going to be representing the community from now. It was the way he worded it too. It was like so obnoxious, like, I am going to be your guy. I am the community manager. I'm going to be your voice. Like, and people were like, you don't speak for me. I have no idea who you are. And a lot of it, I'm going to be honest, admittedly, a lot of it was from international viewers because I didn't even know who he was. Nobody knew who he was, but it turns out he was following the game. He was streaming it. He had a fairly large audience, but because of his Big Brother background, it was very American tie-in. So there was a big. Why did you just pick someone? Why didn't you put a bunch of people up for vote? Because that's how I would have done it. I would have put like 5 people up and say give us your preferences, and and then they get a say as well, and then pick your favorite. Even then, having 5 and it feel like we had a say, even if you'd already picked who you wanted, but you gave us a feeling that I thought it was going to be, it would have been okay.
Yeah, and like Monte Claudio says it in chat there, he like built his brand and everything off of GTA. And it's really kind of perfect for him because while as he said too, he's not going to be able to like really cover Star Citizen with any depth anymore.
We'll just go back to
GTA's coming out, so he can do his GTA. Yeah, he can do his GTA stuff, and that'll work out great for him for that side of things. And he can work on Star Citizen, So I think it'll work out great for him. I'm happy for him. He's a nice dude. So.
Yeah, and he can still cover it. They do allow you to, but they like to be some separation. So he may do role play in Star Citizen as an example, but he probably won't go cover the latest stuff because he'd have stuff. It'll be tricky for him knowing stuff behind the scenes. So I could see where it's going to work out for him, and he'll be fine.
But I think from the little I know him, I think CIG is making out good here too. I mean, I think they really gained a good, like I said, and like I told him, a good ambassador for the project. So. Yep.
I do know he was in their good graces for a long time. I'll tell you some stuff off stream that I know too. Alrighty. Let me go. There's one more thing I think I had here in the background I wanted to go over. That was it. Is the sneak peek. Geez, I wonder what this is. I didn't get the tagline. I should probably go back and get the tagline.
I didn't have it up either. Yeah. Or Siege of Orison 2.0 though.
This is not the work of a cook. I don't get that.
Okay.
Can you explain that?
I'm assuming they mean the building's not on fire because there was a cooking fire, but I'm not sure.
This random vagueness weirdness has got disco written all over it. I would have said like welcome to the garden or something like that. Or the Garden of Eden. Yeah. This is not the Garden of Eden or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to say.
But obviously the return of Siege of Orison and specifically though the 2.0 version and instancing. And I haven't looked into it too much, but I did see, I think it was from 10 Pound. Oh my gosh, just blanked. 10 Pound, but I think he was showing that the maps were significantly different, or 1 or 2 of them were. So I think some pretty big changes coming, and be exciting to see. I didn't play the first Siege of Orison all that much, so I'm kind of looking forward to this one.
Okay, so according to Pete, that line, this is not the work of a cook, is a reference to Under Siege, and Steven Seagal in that movie was a cook.
Oh, okay.
This is definitely disco because it's like a really old movie reference. Yeah,
that sounds right.
100% that was disco. This is not the work of a cook. All right, yeah, I understand it now. I do remember Under Siege. I was like 10 at the time, but I do remember it. I remember the cake. Because as a kid, that cake scene was amazing. If you know if you know the scene. Anyway, you know why. Little me got really excited.
This is what?
Yeah.
Is this 4.9? I can't remember.
I think it's 4.9.
2.0 is 4.9.
Yeah. Well, it's the tech preview is in testing right now. So Evo Cardi there was meant to be a build coming today, but I woke up and pretty much jumped into this. So again, by the time we finish streaming here, there's probably an Evo Cardi build ready to go. Yeah. Actually, I could probably open the launcher real quick and just see if there is one. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Because right now I've got 3 builds going, and if they add Evo, I'm gonna have 4 copies on my machine. No, there is only live, but there is an update.
No build, yeah.
So they got rid of the hotfix.
But I mean, I think that if this test goes well, or this deployment of Siege of Orison 2.0 with full instancing tech, I would have to think they're going to start leaning into that tech, because you got to think of it as it's new feature tech, right? That's coming online with instancing, and we've seen little bits of that throughout the game for a bit now. Our hangars are instanced and this, that, and the other, but with a maturing of that technology and that feature tech, I think we'll just start seeing more and more interesting stuff utilizing that. And if you go back to that Star System 1.0 presentation that Richard Tyler did, one of the core pillars of 1.0 is instancing. There's open world, there's instancing, and then I forget what the other one was, but there, the instancing stuff is very important to their future roadmap for this game. So
Joel on YouTube says, is there a giveaway today, or can I stay on YouTube? Well, funnily enough, that's the next thing I wanted to talk about. Is they gave us a toolie to give away, but I've also gone and got a Raelian to give away, but I'm going to do it in the evilest way possible.
Now, can I do what you all do? Can I do what you do to me all the time?
Mm-hmm.
If you're watching the stream, everybody, Execute's going to throw in a paint.
Yeah, that's what I do. I do that, so I don't mind you doing it at all.
Okay.
But every time I'm Grimstream, I make him give a skid away, and he gets really annoyed at me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
because otherwise, can I talk about the skins. I want to talk about the skins of these 2 ship in a minute.
Well, yeah, we'll go through. I'll go on the store and we'll go through it. But long story short, when this video or stream goes into a video format, because it literally goes from stream to video, then you can leave comments. But what I'm going to do is this video, the buyer's guide for the Raelian and the buyer's guide for the Taulian. Hopefully me and Paul do both of those this weekend. So there should be 3 videos, right? This live stream, the 2 buyer's guides. The one with the most comments does not win. And then and then the one with the 2 with the least will win one of the ships. I haven't decided how I'm going to do it yet, the Taulian or the Raelian. But why I'm on this screen was I was actually thinking about making them both Taulies. But what I'm thinking is I might just do 1 Raelian and 1 Taulie. So whoever comes dead last, I'll give them the better ship, and then the person that comes second actually gets the Raelian. If that makes sense.
I got to tell you, man, the Raelian is a great ship. I used it a lot yesterday, and I had a great time with it.
You can only comment on 1 video, though. I want to point that out. So if you're just a casual person and you comment on all the buyer's guides and all that shit, you've just instantly put yourself out of contention. You can only comment on 1 video, so you either got to comment on this live stream, the buyer's guide for the Taulie, or the buyer's guide for the Raelian. And I'm going to have to remember this and do it in those 2 videos as well. Not going to win. Stop spamming! Innocent verse. Settle down! Oh, Jesus, man. Holy shit. Don't do this, not going to win. Yeah, well, the reason I'm doing it that way is to create it a bit different. Isn't it different and interesting? Your brain is going 1,000,000 miles an hour. Which one do I comment on? That's why I did it, because it's not a boring regular giveaway. I wanted something different. So I've upped the ante. You've got 2 ships that you can win. How to make it interesting? Well, now it's interesting. It's something you can talk about, something you've got to strategize. I like that. I don't know. I just thought it was different. And if it blows up in my face and it's terrible, we'll never do it again. But I was talking to Agron about it. I've talked to you about it. I've talked to Paul about it. Everyone thinks I'm evil, but I think it's cool. I just want to try something different. Am I being stupid by trying something different? I don't know. You tell me.
No, I think you're someone you have a creative mind and you want to try things. That's all it is.
Yeah,
you don't want to use the the random wheel of names and the what do you call it? The
no. By the
YouTube
way,
random, or
the random wheel of names is still there because that's just the group that wins. It's the group that's deleted, right? Okay, so if you've got a comment on the video, you're still in, but it's got to be it's got the video with the least amount of comments. Let's be honest, it's probably going to be this live stream. It's not going to be the buyer's guides. So. Do bribes count? No, bribes do not count, but thanks for $20. I'll take it, Roman. Bye. Right. No, but I just want to do something different. Like everyone just does the and it's the same thing. Like I don't really like giving away the same shit that everyone else is giving away. But again, we're doing a Raelian and we're doing a Thule. So
And on the CIG giveaways, CIG does say that we can give them away in any way we want. In any nature we decide to run the giveaway. So.
Yeah, the next giveaway, I'm going to attach it to Grim's back, and it's the first person to. He's going to get it off him. It'll be right there, the code and everything. I'll send you a shirt, and he's going to run around your town. It'll be funny.
Yeah.
No, actually, I'd probably do that at CitizenCon one time. I'd wear a shirt as the first person to get it off my back. That'd be funny. I'll try that. I'll be exhausted. Or you're going to get half a code from Algar and half a code from me.
Somewhere on your body.
Yeah. Code. Where is it tattooed? Search at your own risk. Right. And Algar is just like... Anyway. All right, enough of that. All right, you wanted to talk about the paint, so let's cut it over. I pressed the wrong button, I think. Did I? Wait, yes, no, I did. I got it. Right. Back to this, Robert Space Industries. Now, what paints do you want to go over, the Thule or, the Raelian or the Thule first?
Well, there are some differences, but let's do the Raelian first.
Okay.
Because I think, I think they did a really fantastic job, and I don't always think that. I mean, I am someone who's pretty vocal when I think a paint does not work, and there's a lot of paints I don't think work very well.
I'm going to be honest. I don't think the default and the one from the concept worked, and this proves it to me. So this one is a lot like those two, but they turned the blue lights off. I don't like green, but if they'd made it in red, I would have brought it without hesitation.
Oh yeah, I mean, the lighting change was really cool. I actually thought the lighting, the blue light stuff, was only going to be on the concierge or the concept paint, or not concierge, the concept paint, the factory default paint. So that was a bit of a surprise. It made its way into others, but the ship and the way the ship holds its paints, just because of the structure of the geometry and stuff, it really is attractive for almost every single one of them. Even the colors I don't like look good on it. If anything, the Alien Week paint, what was it called? I forget. It was started with an I. That one was the least interesting to me. I know you like that one.
I really like that one. Again,
but really, all of them were good. They were all winners.
Yeah, there's a guy that did a video that had all the skins on it except the concept paint on YouTube. I forget the gentleman's name, but I'm just bringing this up a reference for people. So this kind of shows you, this is the blue light thing we're talking about. You can see if I go between this green one and the kind of default, it's exactly the same pattern, just the lights turned off. Well, imagine the defaults, but instead of it being like purple, it's just essentially black and gray wavy lines on it. It's different, but the blue lights it just doesn't look as monolithic as the others do. And I think that's one of the reasons why I like that one that you said you don't like, which is this one, is it looks like a giant stone. It's also limited, by the way, right? But it looks like these giant stone pieces. and that's probably why I like it. It reminds me of Stonehenge. It's just this. Well, it looks very monolithic to me.
So this goes back to something I said when the Sulin came out and they had the stone textures on them. I was like, man, it was really tripping me out because the stone looks so heavy on a small, spry little ship like the Sulin. But I kept saying then, I was like, it'll be interesting to see if these materials make their way onto the rail in a bigger ship and how that will feel. And I think it feels much, much better, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah. In Solaris.
Yeah, in Solaris paint.
In
Solaris paint.
If you go, so this what's the other one?
I think on the transmission page it has the paints you can flip through, by the way.
Yeah. So the one that really kind of I found interesting, because they obviously took this directly from the concept skin of the Sulian, but then also put it on the Perseus, which I think was stolen, let's be honest. And then
weird choice,
weird choice. But the one that disappointed me is they didn't do the Tomoa skin from the Sulian, which was this in black. And I would have brought that. I would have brought that. I like the gold and black look, and the reason, if you like gold and black, go into Hurston. You know, in Hurston, all the gold and black shit in the building in there. The Tomoa skin is easily the best on the Sulian, and if they'd made it in gold and black on the Raelian, I would have picked it up without even blinking. But they didn't.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that has been kind of cool and interesting is and they've been doing this for a few years at this point. This isn't something new, but they really have been moving away from like concierge liveries being black and gold all the time. Now we're getting all kinds of interesting color choices for the concierge stuff, which is kind of cool. I think on the Perseus, the concierge paint was the white and gold, but it's interesting how they're flipping that up a little bit. I think this one here was the concierge for the Raelin, right?
That's correct, yeah. And so instead of going black and gold, they just went gold. You know, they had to go up a classy level, so they just went gold. So yeah. No, look, I just like the black and gold look. I don't know why it is. I just really like it.
I just think, like I said, the way that this ship holds color, and again, there's certain manufacturers, I think, just by the nature of the ship, do it better than others. I just think this ship holds those different paints really spectacularly. I think so. I think they were all winners. Even my least favorite one is like still pretty good, you know.
Well, this other black one, the Agapagatha, this is the only or however they say it. Someone said this is a reptile in chat. They said, look here, it says a reptilian. Is that what that? So an Agapagathian is a reptilian, but you can see it there. This is a black, but instead of having the gold, they went black silver.
Yeah.
So they went either side of the black and gold, but they didn't do the black and gold.
Yeah, but even on the concept skin, or the one that was sold, or the one that was shown in concept, it translated to the flight ready pretty well. I think that we lost a little something with when they took the Gatak manufacturer decal off. That was supposed to be in between those blue glowing lines. They did remove that. I'm a little curious why. So I think that would have given a little bit of an interesting vibe, because we don't really usually have alien manufacturer names on ships, on the alien ships, you know. But minor detail.
So this one's exclusive for the Raelian. You can't get this on the Thule. But instead on the Thule, you get another monolithic one, but it's a hint of the original looking Raelian skin. And I've put this one on in game, and it actually isn't that bad. I actually like it a lot. In fact, it's probably my second or third favorite. But yeah,
it's a cool pattern too. It's, again, I love when CIG experiments with some of these patterns. Sometimes, you know, if you go back to remember when they did the bundles for the Vanguard series, that one point where it had like really wild patterns on them, and it came with like a suit that matched the pattern. I think it was actually not last Invictus, but maybe last year's Invictus. But those are really interesting. Or going into that Best in Show that had like the swirly lines in them was really cool. Like, I remember it's one of my favorite paints for my Corsair. So without them going crazy and getting psychedelic, I do like when CIG gets a little wild with the paint sometimes. And on an alien ship, there's a lot of room to do that. So
Yeah, a lot of these alien ships that are here now are only available now, and then they're not available for the rest of the year. But they are some of the coolest in the game because they're just alien. Some of them work, some of them don't. Like you, again, like any paint, you're gonna have a personal preference, though. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah,
it was nice that we didn't get like I just saw a couple camo. I'm glad we didn't get like the camo paint because I feel like there's always
that's a human thing.
Camo paint thrown in, but it's a human thing. Yeah, so I wouldn't expect that unless
those
closest swirls are the alien camo.
I think this is the closest that you'd get to like an alien camo. See how they kind of got like the triangles and stuff. So yeah, that was right.
I just thought they were really well done though, and translated to the ships really nicely. I did love how there was between the two ships there were some paints that they both had, and then some different ones that were unique to that particular hull. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yep. So we've got a few questions that have come in, but not as many as I thought there would be. But yeah, if you want to get your questions in, please feel free, because me and Grim have kind of gone through what we were going to go through today. There are a few in here. I'm just deleting the Nightbot stuff because ever since Piggles changed the bot, we have to manually delete Nightbot now. It's really annoying. But yeah, first question, just give me a second. I'm going to delete this. Is from Aniquan. I think it's meant to be like Obi-Wan. Anyone says, do you think that the Thule is going to get a variant modules to allocate for 2 light fighters or a single medium fighter? No, that's it all. But yeah, go ahead. I'll let you take that.
No, I don't think so. I've been pretty open about CIG. When a ship falls into a certain size regime and it's a carrier, the ships it carries is almost predominantly 2 sizes lower than it. Like I'm not saying that's a rule they follow, but if you just look at the pattern of ships that carry other ships, that's kind of what it is.
You've also got
to 2 levels under. So.
Look at how big the Liberator is, and it carries 2 light fighters. And you've got to look at the shape of that room. You couldn't fit 2 light fighters in there, so you're talking about a whole room rework. There's no modularity mentioned on the ship at all. And again, the only reason that ship works the way it does is because it's 4 snubs, and they literally had to put anti-gravity type shit in it to get it to work. Thing. So
exactly, and I say this often, not to bring up this ship again, but you have to get all the way to Kraken size before you get to a carrier capable of carrying a medium ship.
That's right.
Just think about that. You know what I mean? Now, and it carries 2 of them, but even the Odin, the biggest ship they showed inside of it was a Paladin, which is technically big, medium, small, large, whatever I call it.
It is on the
meter mark.
So. Yeah, so right on the very edge of going into large. Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a bit of a range there. But what you're probably never going to see is like a large ship carrying a medium ship. It doesn't seem to be something CIG wants to explore, from at least so far.
I don't even see the sense in it. Why? Like, why would you want to? It's
the only ship that, if you went back 5 years ago, the only ship that would have made sense to do something like that to me would be the Crucible. But now that it looks like repair, rearm, refuel services may be what CIG leans into for a lot of these ships, you do start to think about what maybe the Crucible may turn into. And I actually, and not to go off on that tangent, but I do think the Crucible is going to get Pioneer level reconcepting. It's still going to be a repair ship, but I think it's going to be massively rethought.
Well, again, again, you don't have to carry it with the Crucible. It's got a tractor beam, so it could just tractor them.
Yeah.
So if you look at the Crucible is essentially amalgamation of almost all the repair, refuel, and rearming stuff in the game, all in one ship. The only, it's just got to grow because essentially those smaller ships grew, and I think they've also got to allow it to accommodate for maybe up to heavy fighters now. And so you take your biggest heavy fighter, that can fit in the Scarab, right? Yeah. Then you remove the Scarab, you can put a Connie or one of those ships there, and that works around there. But then as soon as you go to the capital, then it's got to stand back a little bit and use and reach at it with its arms. So again, but I agree with you, reconcepting makes a lot of sense because it's got too many pairs of arms. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it's got one inside the scarab, it's got one inside the arm, and then it's got one outside the arm. So it's essentially got 3 pairs of arms on each arm. Essentially, it just makes no sense. Why not consolidate that down to just one pair of arms that can bend off and do the capital, come back, do the Connie, but just reach into the scarab and do this.
Right. And just to go back to the medium ship thing, I do know that the Kraken and the Odin can carry bigger ships, technically, yes. I'm just talking about what they were designed around is more what I'm talking about. Like if you go back and read the Kraken jump point issue on its concepting, the design brief that the ship team received was 2 medium ships.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, that was the only thing it was supposed to carry. It wasn't supposed to carry all the smalls at all. That was the design brief was 2 medium ships. So
I think the more time goes forward too, we're going to see more things that lean into that a lot more. Like the facilities. There's just a lot of facilities that we just don't have right now. I think the first step towards that is essentially, you know, the ship hangars and stuff. But when you have the refueling and stuff like that, you're going to find that those bigger ships, like for example, let's just take what you said on the Kraken, right? Now I can land a Caterpillar on a Kraken, and I can probably hand repair tool I said a Kraken on a Kraken, didn't I? I meant to say a Caterpillar on a Kraken. Idiot, right? But I can hand repair tool that bigger ship like a Caterpillar, but I can't put it into the repair bay underneath.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably gonna be able to land a bunch of things on the Kraken, especially now that the looks like the deck is widened out a bit. So you're gonna be able to land a Perseus on there, all kinds of stuff. And CIG does seem to still stick with the if it fits, it sits thing. Now the interesting thing with the Tului though is the pads are actually really small, and based off the circumference of the room, it really does kind of limit what it can carry.
Well, can I be honest? As a snub carrier, snub fighter carrier. Already in my testing, it's very disappointing because it doesn't fit the P72 or the P52. Yeah, and that seems like a bloody oversight.
You know what's interesting too? When I was looking at this tech, I was thinking of too, like, what if there were future alien ships? Like right now, we have the Tului where the hangar's internal, right? But imagine if the ship set external all around it, and you went on a walkway, an anti-grav walkway on the exterior of the ship, and went to each. There's so much crazy stuff they could do there that it starts to get really interesting.
Already been there. One of the ships me and Argaris theorized years ago was a ring. And on the ring, you have all these snubs, and they are the engines of the ship. And then you get out of your snub, and it uses the guns, and so it's like one big capital ship where you essentially get into the ship, and it uses all the guns and the snubs and the engines to fly the ship, and your living quarters are all in there, and then you fly there, and then you detach, and you can escape or whatever you need to do.
I mean, look, always expect the unexpected. I've been saying for a while now that I feel like CIG's kind of, and I don't mean this as a dig, I just think they've been trying to homogenize the ship's features a little bit to bring them all into some sort of common language. But every now and then they surprise you. But at the same time, the Tului comes out and you're like, wait, what is this?
Yeah,
you know
but everything is,
they will still surprise you.
They're almost like streamlining it. Right, like they are. Like you look at the Raelian, they simplified how the cargo works on that because it works for the game right now. Where if they had to go back and make it all come down to the ground and all that, I can see the extra time that would take to plan out. Like for example, how do you do that coming down to the ground if you've just landed out in the wild? How do you? And again, they do already have tech because like in the Ironclad, you know, you can open those lockers and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and all. Well, you could technically have them come down in the sections because there's like, I think there's 4 sections on it. So you could press one button and it just brings that section down. And it's essentially a box that you put the cargo in and the box goes back up. It just, you know, so that's how I would have done it. But by the same token, if you're on the edge of a hill and the cargo box comes down, but it's not actually, you see what I mean? Because you know, they talked about the landing gear, was the landing? The ramps and the elevators changing depending on the height of the terrain. They would have to use that same tech on all the boxes, and so it wouldn't work in the game right now. But because they want to release the Raelian right now, they had to change it.
That's so funny you bring that up. It's one of the pieces of tech I really wish
Me too.
they would have finished.
Yep. Oh, there's so many little texts that they.
I got about 10 minutes, unfortunately. The warden just let me know.
I call her the Reaper, and the little one, Little Reaper. But because you're Grim, so she's the Reaper.
Yes. Yeah. But that's a tech I really wish we would hear. But before the progress tracker went defunct, that one was on the progress tracker and was being worked on.
Yep.
Along with mines, space mines, but I won't bring that up anymore.
All right. Yeah, expat was talking about come along and filling in for you, but I don't think she's gonna be ready. Because I was expecting her about an hour from now, so I guess I'll just be on my own for a bit. But that's all good.
But people can enjoy and just marinate in you.
I just like to bounce off people. I'm one of those people that bounce off other people. I need someone to kind of balance me out because I'm a bit hyper. Let's be honest.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not available the full night tonight. But the wife has something scheduled for me. So,
ooh la la. Okay, yeah. Right.
What's our next question?
Next one is from Malemba, who says, should we start a fund to send the Inforunners to Manchester in October? Probably going to have to at some point, but yeah, we'll look into that closer to the time. We'll see how things work out.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we start hearing something about the October. Now that they put this news out to those select creators, maybe that now can free CIG up to make some more formal end-of-year announcements so that the rest of us can be planning. You know what I mean? That would be cool to do. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So that I'm not planning to go on like a 2-week vacation the day that Squadron releases. You know what I mean? So hopefully they'll be communicative about that.
I think you could safely, again, no CitizenCon was the first big sign for me something was happening. You don't just take that all that free publicity. They go out of the way to do that because it's so it's really good for the staff to see that feedback and stuff. And to kind of cancel that, I knew it was big.
Yeah, and they could have done another CitizenCon Direct, like a fully pre-recorded thing, and worked on it over the summer and stuff. So obviously, that's not what they're doing. So,
yeah. First time chatter on Twitch says, Circules says, I can't see the release being more than a month after this creator weekend. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's this one and the same. To be honest with you,
I do too.
Yeah,
it wouldn't shock me if it's that week.
We talked about it at length, right? And I've done, I remember talking to Paul about it, talking to you about it, Space Smart and all that, and most of us were in agreement that it was in October would be the primary time. I even went as far as to ask multiple AIs because AIs can essentially. Pete hates me talking about AI, by the way, so I'm just going to call him out because he's stewing right now because I mentioned the word AI. But I use AI to speed up what I'm doing. So instead of researching and having to take 100 web pages in the calendar together, it just does it instantly. And I basically said, based on the historic dates of Star Citizen, the announcement of Grand Theft Auto, the marketing of Grand Theft Auto, and all those type of cues, and I went through and I tailored it out. It was literally 100 words. I said, can you give me your best estimates of and the good and the bad times to release Squadron 42? And they basically said the sweet spot is early October. And I said, but the safe bet would be 2027.
Yeah. And here's something else to remember. Not that CIG has to follow their pattern, but GTA or Rockstar just announced when pre-orders start. It's in late June or very soon, I think in a week or two. It's in late June. And that's for a November release. If CIG is planning to release in October, at some point soon, we need to hear about some details, whether it's pre-orders or what the game packages look like, platforms it's going at, whatever. Some communication's got to start. If GTA is releasing November and they're starting pre-orders in a week, you start to look at that timeline. Now, I do think GTA can sustain energy from now till November with no problem.
Yep.
Maybe that's not the same for Squadron.
Well, didn't they announce that their pre-orders are on the 25th or 26th, so in only a week's time?
Something like that, yeah. I think it's the 26th, maybe, yeah.
Parker in YouTube said 11th is the day. Yes, but tell me why the 11th is the day, Parker. I'm testing your knowledge base here, Parker. Why is it the 11th? If you
And
know.
Quinn says we've been pre-ordering Squadron 42 for years. That's not wrong. You're not wrong. But more I'm talking about those like new promotional packages. So we'll have to see.
Right.
Here's the last thing I wanted to say on that, actually, execute before I have to go. Here's something I wanted to say on that, and it related to something. CIG has to know that when these content creators come out, even if they sign an NDA, which I don't think they're going to necessarily have to do, because I think the entire point is to bring these people is so that these people will then go and talk to the community about it.
Yep.
With no NDA, you're now inviting discussion. You can't start that dialogue and have that action happen without following up with the game soon after. So I actually don't even think, before I was actually thinking 2027, and I was fine with that. I don't think we're even talking 2027 now. Now I'm back to thinking 2026 this year. So
I never thought any different. I did a whole episode with Paul on Captain's Table talking about this, but everyone I talked, my sources were all this year.
Well,
so yeah. All right. Well, I'll love you and leave you since you got to get going.
Yeah. Sorry I have to go, but thank you for having me on for a little bit. I'll come on for a full show soon.
Tell the Reaper I'm disappointed that she can't share.
I will.
No,
Chat,
tell
everyone,
her
have a good one.
All right.
I appreciate you all. X, talk to you later, buddy.
See you, mate. Bye. I'm just going to turn your camera off. Don't be offended. Because I don't like doing the big mode. I feel weird with my face being that big. And all my
no problem.
Dirty shirt or whatever. I got everyone see the wrinkles and the old manness. So I just got to turn it off and just stay small. Right. Oh, Jason's here.
All right, buddy.
Your replacement's here, Grim. See you, Grim.
You're all good. Hey, Grim. Hope you're doing good.
Drazen.
Later, man.
Yeah, you too, buddy. Appreciate it. Thanks.
So I called Drazen in because Grim's leaving and I get lonely. Right. You can help me with these questions if you want, Drazen. So Farah Latham 101 says, given the choice, would you choose the Crucible or the Endeavor? I have a hope in buyback, but I'm very disappointed with how the medical gameplay turned out. Well, Drazen, I'll let you take that one first before I give you my 2 cents. So Crucible or Endeavor?
That's a tough one because I mean, go ahead.
I see the Taco kid just saying why not both, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say personally, I would say the Crucible if you're going for that heavy repair maintenance kind of thing. It is a large ship, but it doesn't have necessarily as high of a crew requirement. I think the Endeavor is going to have a very significant crew requirement in any version of it, and I would say I think the Crucible is going to be a lot more flexible with a small group of friends versus maybe a slightly larger in a support fleet for its specific.
He's mentioning the Hope here as well, right? The Endeavor has so much different forms of gameplay through its modules. We've always found the modules ridiculously expensive for what they are, and we're always just like, buy a default Endeavor and earn the modules in game, because the modules never ever turn out to be anywhere near as expensive as the ships do, right? So even if you take the most expensive module they sell for the Endeavor, it's $150.
Yep.
Now, what's a ship around about $150? That's a Prospector, right? That's $155. So you go into game and you look at the price, and you'll find that it's probably a couple of million, which is not unreasonable for you to buy on your own, right? If you're really worried about it, then maybe buy one module. But again, you mentioned the Hope and you didn't like the medical gameplay, then buy one of the other modules. There are plenty of them. Yeah. And the reason I would pick the Endeavor over the Crucible is because essentially, as you kind of named it there, Drazen, and how he mentioned in his comment, well, I didn't like the gameplay. Well, aren't you kind of hedging your bets by having multiple different gameplays?
Yeah, and I think it's not an apples to apples comparison by any means. I think for the most part they live in different areas, I mean, just from ship size alone, but obviously the Endeavor is a jack of all trades. It's going to open up a lot more gameplay loops. I mean, it really depends on what that person's looking for. I mean, it's tough to consider both. I think long term, like someone said in the chat, we're going to get the Crucible before the Endeavor. We might get the Endeavor Endeavor, how long is it going to take for us to get all of the modules as well? So if you're not going to splurge for the Endeavor and the Master Set, which is a significant cost, you're better off just getting the Crucible. But then again, why are you considering one versus the other?
Yeah,
I don't know. That's an oddity to me.
Well, they are very drastic different gameplays, right? You've essentially got repair versus the myriad of stuff in the other one. So I can see why he's doing it. But again, I would not be buying them back through buyback. I would have been using them with CCUs to get the prices down drastically. Like you can get them a lot lower than 350 each. But again, you can also just buy the final CCU. So from like a Gemini to Crucible or a Gemini to Endeavor, and then just sit on it. And wait and see if you like them at all when they come out, which would be the safer wise bet. And if you're wondering why I'm talking funny, it's because I'm organizing shit in the background for Drazen, so I can turn him on so he doesn't look like a butthead. I need to go back to this, and then I need to go turn this off, and then I need to click this button, and you should hopefully... There he is. He's here. There we go.
There we go.
Hey, good voice and everything. Woo, see, I'm a genius. Right. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I think that answers that question anyway. I hope that answers your question, Farrell Lithium. Right. Arcane Danger says, question, will a repair salvage snub make the toolie more viable since size 1 and 2 weapons are not effective against armor? And that's, you're kind of in the line with me, Arcane Danger. I don't think snubs are proven. I think they're really, once armor comes in, I think there's going to be certain ships they'll work against and other ones they won't. But I'm going to be honest, I think snubs are really designed to take out most fighters. I don't think they're really designed, like they're designed to annoy, but I don't see them taking on a Connie and winning. Because, well, you've got the 2 turrets, you've got the ship itself, right? So maybe you're not going to get the ship itself, but the armor on the ship, and then if you also deploy a Merlin, you see where I'm going here? Like you could fly your Merlin and use your Merlin in a way to bait them into the turrets.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't know. I find it weird, the idea that there's a tier below like a starter gameplay loop ship in the form of, we've never seen a repair salvage snub. That's news to me, and I may be misinformed and I apologize, but that would be weird for me to see a ship like that.
MPUV?
Why would you have a ship? Oh yeah, the MPUV. Yes, but that's a ground vehicle, whereas it's like a dedicated
not a ground vehicle. Go, all right.
Or not a ground
Education
vehicle.
time. Education time for the dummy.
Well, the MPUV, as far as like towing goes.
Star. I can't believe Paul is rolling in his grave if he was dead. MP.
I don't care about the MPUV.
It's yeah. Oh my God, those are fighting words. You're in big trouble now. It's a ship.
Yeah, cargo. Yeah. For cargo, sure, but when repair,
it's not just cargo.
Gameplay,
the original version of the MPUV had a repair arm on its head.
Yeah,
and the only reason we probably but that's why we probably don't have it, because repair's not in the game. Think about it.
I feel like if that would have been a thing, we probably would have known of it by now. I'm against the idea of things being below a starter gameplay loop ship, just because it's like, well, then what's the point? If you can just get a snub ship that is your true entry into a gameplay loop, I feel like you're kind of splitting hairs
because of space.
So
because of space, you're in space. If you've got even if you're doing, even if it's only equivalent to a hand repair tool, right? You can fly over. And think about the distance you've got to travel. Think if you get under attack, all those things, the safety of being in a craft. And you can just sit there and repair it while you're in your hab. You don't have to worry about oxygen. You don't have to worry about any of that type of stuff. It is a bare bones starter, right? And again, if we take this back to mining, right? For example, there's probably absolutely no sorting on it or anything like that. And again, if it is mining, you'd have to have a variant. Like the more I think through what I said here back earlier today, I'm now coming to the conclusion it just doesn't work. Because where are you going to store all that? You've got to go directly onto the cargo grid.
Yeah, and the idea of like always having to like say you have the Thule, right? And you're coming back to it constantly. That's gonna be that doesn't feel like emergent gameplay. That feels like annoying gameplay to me.
The weird thing is 96 SCU is I think exactly what the mole has. So now I take back what I just said because it actually makes sense. Anyway, right. I don't know, I'm confused.
To get so granular. I don't like the idea. My idea of what would a snub carrier or mostly any carrier ship really be angled towards, it's combat. It's you're carrying a couple of snub combat ships to essentially swarm, like we saw in the video. You know,
yep.
Anything beyond that is
the law.
Sandboxy kind of gameplay.
Follow their own law, and they're not following their own law. Everything's just wide open so we can make cool shit. I get that approach. But as I said, if you have some kind of box or frame, as Paul calls it, that you've got to work within, it does make things creative. And the only borders I've seen or frames are manufacturers. Right? Yeah, and again, they keep breaking their own manufacturer laws. Right? And I know I know a lot of people go, it doesn't matter. But at some point, it has to matter. Right? Because again, they're essentially like rules, right? And a game is a set of rules. Tic-tac-toe has rules. Noughts and crosses, if you call it that, right? Has rules. But if I can just break those rules whenever I want and use a triangle, what the fuck is going on? It's noughts and crosses. Yeah. Why the fuck is there a triangle? Right? It's that type of thing. So at some point, they have to start following them.
I could be convinced. And I see someone's comment in here. I could be convinced that a carrier ship could be used for something other than combat. The issue is, why does CIG keep selling every carrier ship as, okay, so the Thule has more guns on it. Why would you, if it was meant for supporting industrial ships, it would have a small onboard refinery. It would have something to make that sense of it's going to support small snub ships that do industrial gameplay.
And that's why I changed my mind, because I was in the same thing. You probably need a refinery or a sorter like the mole, but that's the versatility aspect of it, right? So if you look at it like C2 versus Raelian. Now, the Raelian is pure cargo, but it gets extra guns, so you can kind of do smuggling. The C2 makes the compromise and loses the tractor beams. Now, you can technically still do cargo. In fact, you can do a little bit more cargo. I think it's about 60 or 55 more SCU. But in return for losing the tractor beams, you can also do vehicles. So if you bring that back to the Thule over the mole, well, what is the difference? Well, you lose the sorting. You can technically still do mining because you've got 96 SCU of cargo, so you can drop your cargo boxes off from your salvages. So, like, think of a salvation. Now, I haven't even seen if a salvation can fit in there, but a salvation is pretty small. But you make these two small Zion craft that can fit in there. I call them the Pulu, because they're using stupid names, so I used a deliberately quality name. And I know the UK guys love toilet humor, so that'll work. Anyway, they are really into toilet humor. I do not get it at all, but that's what they're into. So the Pulu is what I'm calling it. A salvage one and a mining one, they both work because you give up the sorting, but you've got the versatility of it. It can be an attack snub craft, or it can be used for mining. You see how it works all of a sudden. You lose the sorting, but you gain the versatility. I think it works. They just need to have a snub craft that can do it.
Yeah, it could, and I think that's the big question mark: is are we going to get snubs like that?
Well, the compromise the subs make is they've got no sorting. The other miner, what was the other miner? The prospector has very little sorting. You've got to do it by hand or something, right? But if you literally had none, and that's under the golem, and the other thing is that obviously if you're going under the golem, or how do you go under the golem? Well, you'd have to have fixed lasers that you can't change. Do they do it slightly differently because there's Ian? You see the things that start to come out? Does it do mining in a completely different way? Does it do salvage in a completely different way? Because this is the other thing. People would hope that an alien ship does it differently. So again, it might not be something that you see for multiple... It could be 2-3 years away if they have to make the gameplay for it.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
I would caution people. I'd say if you're getting the Thule, get it with the consideration that it's supporting snub combats for now. Maybe maybe potentially there will be, industrial snubs that come out, and maybe it'll have that. But at least for now, it is as advertised, I would say, in my opinion. Because
can you read Twitch chat? I just purely mentioned it, and it triggered Just a Lemming. Just the name, man. Every time he just shits on it. He hates that thing so much. Yeah, every time. The Salvation
honestly,
does fit.
I'm so happy. Yeah, I'm so happy we have other ships to replace the C2. Honestly, I'm right there with them.
In my testing of the Thule so far, though, it is ridiculously fun. Going out with a group of friends and just swarm attacking someone. But I'm going to tell you this. I think it's a bit piratey. I actually see the Raelian and this working really well together. You both turn up and you pirate someone. Use the Thule with the guns and the Raelian with its guns and the Swarmcraft to bring down your opponent, and then you essentially tractor beam all their valuable shit onto the Raelian and you leave. And if you don't have that much cargo, you could literally get away with doing it just on the Thule. You have one because it's got 2 cargo bays. One cargo bay for your resupplies. Obviously, it limits what you can do. But then the other one is for your ill-gotten gains. So it is. I wonder how piratey or criminal inclined the Xian are. So we'll have to wait and see. But I do think it naturally skews a lot more towards piracy than, combat piracy, because of how it's wired at the moment. But it is a lot of fun. There's just something really cool about communicating with each other and, the docking and the craft and all that. It's the same thing with the Polaris when you have one fighter on the Polaris and you kind of open the doors. Yeah. But there's 4 of you. So it's almost like a carrier, and it's works a little bit better than the Idris, because Idris, you got to let 1, 2, 3 people go out type of thing. This, you kind of like come in and you can come in a lot quicker and kind of land and stuff. It makes me wonder how cool the Kraken's going to be at that. So we'll see. All right. Next question. Citizen Verse says, question, with the event taking place in October, do you think it's likely this is the launch day or a build-up? And if it is the latter, does that mean the game is going into 2027? From my sources, I had never heard anything about 2027. I've heard nothing but October. That's all I've ever heard. So when Paul came out and said 2027, I was like, okay, well, if he's hearing that, and I went and re-asked someone, I still heard this year. I've always only ever heard this year. So everyone's got different people they talk to, different friends and stuff, and that they've made over the years. But for me, yeah, and with the event taking place, me and Algrid have always heard about this gala. I'd have to assume the gala is a part of that 3-day event. And the gala, when you hear gala, it's like a fancy bow tie type of event. That tells me that, Mark Hamill, Henry Cavill, the stars are going to turn up, and they're going to use them to publicize this. Now, the last time we heard about the gala was at the Citizen Con, and that's why me and Algrid were going to go, because we thought, oh, it's the release. Let's go. And then 2 weeks after we booked our tickets, the gala got cancelled. We're like, oh shit, it's not releasing now. Yeah. But we'd already paid all the money and all that, so it's like, oh shit, we might as well go. We'll lose too much on it. And then
I think
we'll go ahead.
I think if they're doing this in October, I mean, this is my assumption, is they're targeting a December release. Obviously, GTA 6 is coming in November. If they do a December release, it'll give GTA 6 a month to simmer in the pot. If we are getting this year, obviously they're not going to do it in October.
I completely disagree with you.
I think December makes the most sense.
So when you do a game release, think about how long GTA is going to suck up all the oxygen in the room. People are going to be playing it after it's out. If you release it before, they're not playing it. Right? So you want to release it before, not after. And again, every one of us, look, no CitizenCon this year. Why no CitizenCon? Because the game's coming out. And as I said, I did say this earlier, everyone we've talked to said October, even from as far as a year and a half ago, right? And even the CitizenCon that we were going to go to was when they were they were talking about releasing it. So it's CitizenCon has always been a date where they've talked about releasing it. And then on top of that, I went in and asked the AIs, I asked multiple AIs, and they all came back with the same thing. October is the sweet spot because of Grand Theft Auto is 7 weeks later. It's a single player game. You sit down and play a single player game, even at 70 hours, it gives you plenty of time to finish it before GTA is out. But the safer bet, what they came back and said is the safer bet would be 2027 because it gives them more time to polish. But if you had to release in 2027, you got to release it beforehand. And early October is what all of them said.
If they did, I mean, they're doing the event the 9th through 11th. I mean, if they release it the week of the 11th, so 12th through the 16th, that would at least give them a healthy month lead on GTA 6. So,
okay. Well, again, I'm only just asking. So yes, AI does get stuff wrong, and I know people get annoyed at me when I use AI, but AI does speed up a lot of what I do in my daily time. And yes, it does get stuff wrong. Fairly admit it gets stuff wrong, but it's a really good way of gauging if you want an opinion when there's no person there, right? And everyone's got different opinions too. Dre's saying December. He could very well be right. My opinion is October. And there are a lot of people that will agree with me, and there'll be a lot of people that disagree with me. But I think we can kind of... You'll agree with this, Trace. Now they've given a date. Do you think the game is more likely to be this year than next year?
100%. And I think we can also both agree they are not going to release it in November.
Do you realistically think that they are wanting content creators to fly to Manchester, like fly across the world, and they're not going to release the game in front of them?
You
for real?
I don't.
Are you for real?
I don't.
If I got there and I got a goodie bag, I would be pissed.
I think that they would. At this event, I do think they're going to tell content creators, either under NDA or not, when the release date is. They're going to be like, "Oh yeah, when you leave on Sunday, or Monday, it's coming out that week, or it'll be hey, this is coming out in December, by the way. I think
it is literally the release. I think it is like a launch party. I think that's what the whole thing is. They're going to have the celebrities there to basically build up. Think about it. You've only got one chance to lose the celebrities. You're not going to use them for a date announcement. You're going to use them for the launch. For the most noise as possible.
Inviting content creators, unless they're allowing them.
Well, they're bringing the content creators stuff. Because they got the most noise as possible.
Well, yes, but unless they're going to have them say, "Hey, bring your setups here so you can record and stream," then yes, I would agree.
They do say in the letter more info as it becomes available. They even said you have to pay for your own flights and accommodation, but they'll have discounts for accommodation. Blah 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 blah. They state all that in the letter if you've read it.
I have not read it, so you'll have to forgive me. But I mean, if it is something where they're going to allow them to record and release content while they are there, then I would agree with you. But if they are like, "Hey, you can record and all of that, and then by the time you get home, you can publish it, and we'll have a release date out," then I would err more towards the side of maybe later in that week, so they have at least some time to edit and publish videos. Or it's December and they have plenty of time to hype it up.
We'll see. I just, you don't invite people across the world for a date. You just don't do that. You just don't. And if the gala's on at the same date, like which my sources are telling me it is, they've only got one chance to play that card. They cancelled it last time because they cancelled the game release. So everything is telling me, everything is lining up and saying, this is the date, this is when it's coming. They also mentioned, remember, in his letter for the chairman, they said there'll be a small run-up to release where they announce it, and then a month or two later it'll come out. Now, if you look at what's in August, 2 months before CitizenCon, is Gamescom. So you do Gamescom. Now, also, if you go full circle, Gamescom is where it was kind of announced to the public. Right, and that's kind of where it all started. So starting there and just react, because if you look at those dates, October 10th or 11th is the was the start of the Kickstarter campaign. Oh, it's got rated by Expat. Come and enjoy this, Expat, if you want. And then on the other side of it, you had the end of Kickstarter, which was the start of the AIE. So these dates are all historic dates. And Gamescom, back then I think it was in August 10th or something like that, it all lines up. You can play straight back into those sales all over again. So we'll see what happens. But to me, it all makes sense because they're historic dates. And they like to, well, again, they've pinned their sales around them, for crying out loud.
I definitely agree. Something big will be happening. They're going to get something massive. I agree with you. They wouldn't just fly them out to try out Squadron 42. They are going to leave there with, I'm sure it's costing them thousands of dollars to fly out, even with a discount, everything considered. They wouldn't have them do that unless there was something significant they could bring back.
So Doctrine's gone the other way. A first-time chatter on Twitch, he says, so what if they don't announce it at Gamescom, but Chris pulls that and downloadable and playable now, right at the end of the third day event for a surprise? Well, that's kind of what I'm expecting. I'm expecting that the 11th to essentially be, because wasn't it the 40, something about the 11th is the 42nd week of, someone was saying that like the 9th is like the last day of the 41st week, and the 10th and the 11th are in the 42nd. So it all lines up to, it's the Squadron 42, the 42th week, and it's on the start of the Kickstarter. Like, it all just perfectly lines up.
The 42th week,
42nd week. Sorry, 42th. Sorry, my bad. 42nd. Sorry, my brain no worky.
Yo.
Yeah. Hey, expert, how you doing? Now, this is going to get awkward because as you talk, the voice thing's going to go off for both of you. So if you talk expert, watch, the lines will move.
Oh, okay.
And then if Jason talks,
are you talking about, what are you guys talking about today?
We were talking about the invites that went out to everyone, to the content creators to go to Manchester, for what was CitizenCon, so it's now a 3-day event, and what we thought that means. And I'm basically on the camp of the game's coming then, because they're inviting everyone there for an event. They're not just going to give them a date. Drazen is being a lot more reserved, and Eric, and it's a date, and it's coming in December. So where do you sit after today's invites and announcements?
Am I going to see you there, Execute?
It's going to be a financial thing for me, but I would like to come. Yes.
Okay, cool.
I'll probably I'll just lay it out right now. I'll probably go for a week to the UK, and then on the way back, I'll go to the Philippines on a week on the way back. That's probably what I'm going to do.
Nice. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they kind of. I mean, did you show the email or an email?
No, but they've got they're up on the Reddit. Like, I could probably go on here real quick and let's have a look.
I don't know. I mean, I personally don't know what we're allowed to say or show or whatever. I usually stay a little bit,
Yeah, but it's in the wild now. Like it's in the wild.
Yeah.
Like once it's out there, essentially once a leak is out, you can talk about it. I'm treating it like a leak, right? So. And if they want to go off at me,
I don't think it's even a leak, because people are just like posting on social media. It's quite open, and I don't think there was anything in the email to say that people couldn't do it. So just for everyone seems to be pretty open about it.
Just for Drazen's benefit, that last paragraph, Drazen. Additional details regarding the weekend's activities will be shared closer to the event. Please note, travel and accommodation are at your own expense, though we do plan to provide information on discounted hotels options nearby. So, yeah, we'll see. But it's not a cheap endeavor. Like, it was like $3,000 for the flight tickets. Accommodation was more than that. By the time, you got to also remember, when I go to the UK, because I'm Australian, it's like everything costs twice as much, right? So if I go into KFC, the KFC meals are twice as expensive for me, because once I convert it from Australian to British, so instead of being a $20 combo meal, it's a $40 combo meal, right? Because we just get shafted on exchange rate, but that's just how it goes.
Execute. Do you have an X account? Do you have Twitter?
Yes.
This was posted by Mr. Herbizida.
Herbizida? Link it to me on Discord and I'll open it. Is that what you already have?
There. Yeah.
Yep. What does this say? Oh, that's his actual invite. Yep. There you go. Well, that's exactly the same one. I've seen
Yeah, so it's exactly the same. But it says a playtest, I think.
Yep. I don't know if it'll be a playtest. I get the feeling
I mean, that's what it says.
What does it say? 3D event Manchester.
The first hands-on experience on his email.
It definitely reads like a playtest.
Why is all the way there for feedback?
It's like a first hands-on experience, I guess. It's a bit like showing the media, like, I guess.
So what?
I guess we are the media, or I am the media, or he is the media. I don't know.
Hang on, Parker. What do you mean by Montoya has a short out? What do you mean by a short out? Like he's freaking out, or he's having a crash out, or is he's on a holiday?
He means a YouTube short.
Oh, okay, right. Okay, cool. Thanks, Ash.
Sorry for barging in.
No, you're more than welcome to correct us. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. If I went all that way for a playtest, I'd be pretty pissed.
But it's Squadron 42.
Yeah, but it's the thing is, it's like sitting with the dead. I mean, you can read Herbizida's invite, and it says what it says about sitting with the devs and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I guess it can
be honest. What was the best times?
I mean,
the
same way that
hang on. You were there at CitizenCon with me. What was the best times at CitizenCon?
Everyone hanging out and talking about the stuff.
They were the best times, not just so. When I sat down at the dev, the best time for me was the lunch that we had with Ben and John, because it was just us, and the first Bar Citizen, that very first night. It was a target-rich environment. There was like 40,
like many devs were
there. You weren't at the first one. The very first one had like 40 plus devs, and there were 14 citizens. It was a target-rich environment. Like, we all had our own table of devs. It was great. Just sat out, and I sat there and talked. I sat next to Elliot for like 4 hours, and we just chewed the fat the whole night. And like you could look around my table, and there's like Thorsten and all the devs you saw of all the videos. They were all sitting right there.
The Atmo esports event was really good as well, because it was like I could go to the top bar, like there was a bar at the top floor, and there was a lot of guys just hanging out like post sitcon, which was really cool because like all the devs were just like chilling, and it was nice. I got to speak to John Crew and the other lad, Ben. Ben. Yeah,
Ben Curtis.
Yeah, really nice guys. Not too much about. I mean, a little bit about the game, but like not like where's my ship kind of stuff. Just like little, just as you talk to people that work in that industry, really.
So just a writer who said the best times is pretty subjective, but they're the most memorable times. We're interacting with other people are the most interactive times. Like
the social experience. Yeah.
Like I learned that after I went to it, there's almost no reason to watch the panels and all that stuff, because you can do that when you get home, but you can't sit down and talk to Griffin Gaming or the Soul Citizens, because they'll be back in America and I'll be back in Australia. So I should take that time to do it while I'm there.
100%.
I can't sit down and talk to developer A, B, and C. So I should do that. I can't wait 15 to 20 minutes for Expat to put on a fucking makeup while we're waiting in the lobby to leave.
Yeah, true.
And that was an enjoyable experience.
Won't happen again. But the thing is,
it said it'd be 5 minutes and you're like 20. It was so annoying. I'm like, man, I'm waiting for my girlfriend. It's like, what the fuck is like? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
We got to
obviously.
Chinese.
Yeah, we got there.
But the thing is, we got there. But the thing is, it was like, I would say for me, there was nothing like the experience of like lining up with the other citizens, talking to random people in the queue. I'm a bit of a social butterfly anyway, so like I'm chill, like I'll go talk to anybody. And then but getting to like go to see like Sigelion and Bite Size Hobbit standing there at like their stand, and they're like so happy to see you, and you're happy to see them, and like that you can't replicate that any other way. You need something to bring people together.
Well, it's even meeting you for the first time, like you putting faces to names and shit like that, because you don't have your face on camera or stuff like that. But like just meeting people I'd known for years was great. Like the really awkward thing, like you'd be able to attest to this too because you're a content creator. But when you walk up to someone and you recognize their voice or their name on their name tag and go, because you don't know their face. You know what I mean? So everyone else is like, oh, it's X, and they just walk up because they see us and go, oh, hi, X, and they like shake your hand like you're their best friend, and you're like awkward, like, oh, hello, and you are, and then you read the name tag, and you're like, oh, because it's like you recognize, because to us, right?
It's kind of like that for me and like Board Gamer. I think Board Gamer was like walking past, and I was like, God, I have listened to you on so many damn videos.
Well, just to pick someone out of chat, like I got Parker in there in chat. Like I would know Parker as Parker X GPS. I wouldn't know him by his scruffy good looks or whatever however he looks, right? He could be an elephant, he could be a midget. I got no idea. Right? That's part of the point I'm trying to make. So to me, you're just a name. But I remember names in chat. Like I remember, it's the same thing when Just a Riot, when you walked up to me at the Atmo Easy Sport thing, I was like, who the fuck is this? And then you said, oh, it's Just a Riot. I went, oh, okay, that cunt, what an asshole. But no, there's a joke there because he said, I don't know if you can see this. He gave me
some super moments.
He gave me this.
Oh, nice, man.
Yeah, look, Just a Riot.
It's official.
Yeah.
I had some super moments, like somebody approached me and they were like, oh, it's I need a pee, and I was like, what?
Oh yeah,
It was from my chat.
Yeah.
And he brought with him to SitCon all these like screenshots, and he'd like printed them out, and he was handing them out to certain people, like screenshots of the game. And I'm like, oh my God, I still have that on my refrigerator, the screenshot, it's so fun, and I got handed a coin by an org. There was an org that was there, and they handed me a coin. They said, oh yeah, we watch you on Twitch sometimes, here's a coin. And I was like, oh, thank you. Oh my God.
I've got my Citizen Con bag over there hanging on my door. I've got all these hooks on the back of my doors, but the Citizen Con bag's over there, and it is just full of shit like that, like coins, pens, just all the shit people give you. Shirts. It was the same with me, but like people go, here, X, have this shirt. I'm like, oh cool, I need more clothing. But like,
dude, I felt so cheap. Red Monster came up to me, and he was obviously, he's happy to see me because we've been mates in the game, and he handed me like this little care package, and it had like 2 coins and a thing, and I'm like, whoa, and it's proper. Like it's not even these are not like a joke. These are real, like high quality. Yeah. I didn't realize I had never had coins.
They go all out. They go all out, man.
Make them. Oh, they go all out. It's amazing.
Actually, I've just so I don't have to get up, but they are the same quality as this, right? So this was the Atmo Esports one. I'll try and show it off. Probably. Oh, there we go. Right, so it's kind of all fancy in 3D.
Oh, sick.
But they are for this. Like you get Sydney Opera House there and all that sort of stuff. They are to the same quality as this. People go all out. They'll have their orgs, they'll have their org shirts, they'll have everything, and they're just happy to see you. And the other thing I learned is I wanted more time with normal people. Like I'd be walking from one place to another between panels. I met more people in the toilet than I did outside. So I had more time to
but you were hanging out in the toilet like a long time, dude. No, people were asking questions like, why is he standing there?
You get my point, right? Like I ran into Debs in the toilet. because I was always on the move going between places and people would try to stop me and I'm like, I can't really stop. I'm in the middle of something. And I realize now...
Going up to shake Chris's hand while he's in the middle of it. It's like, bro, like...
So I realize now I want to take more time to spend with people. If I go back to a CitizenCon, that's what I'm going for. I'm not going for the event, as in to cover it. I'm going to mingle with people and see people. And that I kind of had to go to one to learn that. And it would totally change how I do it if I went to another one. Which is also a risky thing if you think about it. If we're going all the way across the world for a 3-day weekend, just saying.
Maybe we go on the yacht, bro. Finally.
Go on the yacht.
Finally, the yacht.
Guys don't get invited on the yacht, expat. Only the girls do. So, Bryn.
No.
You live in Dubai. Don't tell me about yachts. I don't want to hear the horror stories that you get up to over there. Right. All right. Next question. Let's do another question. Unless you got something you want to add, expert.
No, I mean, all I would say is like it's this level of speculation. It's tricky. I mean, at the end of the day, we have to understand that perhaps we will be at the beginning of a marketing cycle. Either we're going to be in the middle, the beginning, or the end of a marketing cycle. I'm guessing, based on, and I know people say like, oh, it's not the same GTA 6. Oh my God, it's not the same. But GTA 6 creates a problem for a lot of games companies where it creates a marketing black hole. Anything releasing around GTA 6 is a waste of money. Like if you try and get on social media and promote your video game while GTA 6 is coming out, it's like GTA 6 is spending 3 times as much as you. They're seeing more eyes than you.
Can I tell something what you do for a job? Do you mind? Or would you rather keep that to yourself?
I'm a cinematographer, photographer, editor for TV commercials and
a little bit like
kind of stuff.
A little bit what in the same kind of market as Grimm, because Grimm makes movies and stuff, but you're doing like TV productions and all that type of stuff. So GTA affects your industry as well because it's that big of a project. It literally does, and Grimm has told me it has. So I'm assuming it does for you as well. It just sucks up so much oxygen.
We'll have like gaming. We'll have like launch events and things over here that will, they'll hire people to come in and, all this kind of stuff. It'll be big at like gaming conventions and Comic-Cons and things like that, It's just one of those franchises that people are excited for, It is what it is.
I want to slap Pete. I just read what he wrote. He goes, worst part, it was the ladies. He was implying that I was in the ladies' toilet. It's just, son of a bitch. Right? At least I was there. You only had to walk down the road. I had to fly across the world, you lazy bitch. Anyway, right. But yeah, look, I think this is going back to what you and I said at the start, Drazen, where you said December. I think we get our answer at Gamescom. Either you're right or I'm right or whatever, or somewhere in between. If we don't hear something at Gamescom, which is the weekend of the 26th, so let's just say by the end of August, then I think you're right. I think it's later on or potentially next year or whatever they're planning to do. But it does sound like a playtest, but it also sounds like it's just the first hands-on. But if it's the first hands-on, it doesn't mean it can't release the very next day.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be, it just feels like a marketing thing. I'm guessing a nice social experience. Obviously we've discussed that.
Yep.
And, a time for people to get an understanding of what it is, who have communities within Star Citizen, in the social media and creative sphere around Star Citizen, get us to understand what it is and what they're going for and all this kind of stuff. And, show that there's a product and, and we start, talking about it a bit more and getting people excited. And then I would say it's reasonable to expect December just because it's a Christmas release.
A Christmas miracle.
Good. People will be off. No, but people will be off on Christmas. It's a good time for people take their Christmas holidays. They treat themselves. They, a lot of people, the people that might play this might be over 30, over 45, this kind of category. it is what it is.
Either way, as I said,
plus it gives GTA 6 some time to stew a little bit. You give them a month. Obviously, people are going to go through the game and play it. Obviously, there's the GTA 6 online aspect as people start trickling over there. But after a month, everyone's kind of consumed their content. That's why December feels so fitting for me. At least. If they're still aiming for a 2026 release, they might not be. But we haven't heard anything to the contrary. So
I'm exactly the same, just in reverse. Citizen Squadron 42 first, and then Thingo. And historically, if you want to survive the wave, you go before it, type of thing. So I don't know. We'll see. Again, I think our answer will be at Gamescom. And if I'm wrong, cool, I'm wrong. But that's where I'll be putting my money with the information I have. But we'll see. All right. Next question is from Parker, who says, what other ways would you like the game to leverage multiple plane floors, like new snub carriers? So I think he's talking about, I don't know if he's talking about are you talking about the gravity, Parker? Just let me know in chat. But I think he's talking about the gravity plates. How would you like to see them utilized in other ships? Like the anti-gravity bullshit. I think Grim even said a good one that me and Agron thought of was around the outside of a ship, not just on the inside of the barrel, but on the outside. It's
kind of like Star Wars, like how the TIE fighters can attach to bottoms of ships of stuff, like mag plates. I think that would be cool to have ships that can attach that way or detach. Would be pretty unique.
I think Expat wants a prison ship and just has all the prisoners on the outside as a shield. She just straps them all to the ship and then just goes straight into combat.
Now we just knock them out and throw them into the clasher hole. It's just much easier that way.
Have you got any idea for a ship you would like to think of there?
This kind of like a gravity idea. I mean, look, they came out with a pretty good idea already. I think you could easily expand that into I think we already have cargo on walls. But you could do circular storage systems, and I would be curious to see the traversal on the outside of ships, like you said, to get to other parts of ships. And
you can almost, you mentioned cargo. Imagine a cargo ship that's just essentially a cylinder, and it's got cargo on the inside and cargo on the outside. You can kind of see that.
Yeah. The thing is, if you're careful, you can see where these are not curved things.
Yep.
These are basically tightly connected angles of
like a hexagon
planes.
Like a hexagon.
Yeah, exactly. Because they can't make these curved. They can't make it curved. What is it? Help me out. Like how the technology works. You go between different. When you jump in the train and you jump out of the train, you're stepping between two
platforms.
Containers.
Oh, containers.
So they
containers.
So they use containers to do this. Object containers. So what they're doing is they're just cramming two object containers together at such an angle that you don't notice the transition. Basically.
That's it. There's a little bit of tweaking in the animations and rotation of characters just leading up to it, but you are technically correct. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I agree on that. I think the other one I mentioned earlier was like a Zion mining one, where you could almost see it because they also mentioned they used magnets and stuff. So you can almost see the resources kind of being tracted in, and then they're automatically going out into the correct cargo boxes. So the copper goes into the copper. The whatever materials just naturally go sorted into the right boxes, and the inert just flows straight through and goes out the back of the ship. And that's an advantage of the Zion because they have the magnets and stuff.
Seen this technology before in the
trailer.
Squadron trailer.
Yeah. Actually, it was in Space Odyssey. When they mentioned that it was in a reference to a Space Odyssey scene, it's the scene where he was running around in the thing for exercise.
Running around.
Yeah. I think my only complaint about it in the Thule is that it's not wide enough. it's a single width. I think it needs to be 2 people wide. It's just a little too narrow for my liking.
You know what? I think they had an idea. I think they ran with the idea. I think they did whatever it needed to be design-wise to get the idea across the finish line. Is it going to be the best version of that? Maybe no, but I think it's pretty unique and pretty interesting. And one thing it does establish is I think they need to think about auto docking for snubs. They even hit their own snub in the video.
Yep.
Showing them docking, and it's like,
yep.
I don't think there's going to be a situation in Star Citizen where they can get the technology to work where a static object container, which is like space, and a moving object container, like technically when you're leaving a moving ship, you are static as long as you're inside that ship. When you leave that container, the container is going away from you and you are now static again.
The way I would do it...
They need to make auto-docking, I think.
Yeah, I would make it auto-docking, but I would make it so the co-pilot has a panel, and, you know, there are like 4 ships. He basically presses 1, it lights up that pad, but then when the pilot presses auto-docking, it just flies in and lands. So it's telling the system which one the co-pilot wants you to auto-dock to. And then he presses 2, and then that guy can fly in and dock to 2. You know what I mean? So you can do it manually,
if you
can auto dock.
What is it? Like a hangar management position. Like,
well,
that
again,
would be somebody's job.
Again, you could just do it to the co-pilot because he's kind of that job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyone add to that, Drazen? Auto docking for snubs?
I mean, yeah, I think it would be very nice. I think it would be very finicky. I think you'd have to have someone at like an ATC type of terminal, I think, to make it work the best. I think it would be cool, but I just don't know how they're going to implement that or when. I think for now we're just going to have kind of the awkwardness of like how people fly to the Idris. People are just going to have to be very skilled at flying in and out in the meantime as a duct tape solution until we get something better.
Yeah. We got less than 10 questions left, by the way. So if you want to get another question, we probably need another couple before we run out by the end of the hour. And I just deleted the wrong one like an idiot. So I actually deleted someone's question. Sorry, that was. Or someone undeleted it for me. Thank you. And then, so this one, Drazen, you can do as well. So Project Gnome says, do you think we'll ever see utility snubs? Drazen?
Utility snubs beyond like what we have with cargo and towing, things like that.
Yeah, I think he's saying more utility snubs. So yeah,
more utility. I don't like the idea of like industrial snubs. I think it's quite odd to have your starter ship be a ship that has a quantum drive, you know, and all of this, and then come in behind it and say, oh, we're going to have industrial snubs now. Yeah. I just think is the antithesis of their whole game design that they're doing. I don't know. That's a tough one for me.
Expat's internet's dropped out, so she's going to have to leave. But yeah, thank you for joining us, Expat, if you're still listening in. Appreciate you joining, as long as you're good. Right. Yeah, I think we kind of went over it. I think there's definitely more snubs to come, industrial snubs. Yeah. And you've also got drones, as Expat's mentioning in chat as well. Yeah. So yeah, I think we've got a lot more.
Yeah, when you have drones, it's like, okay, what's the step from drones to snubs to industrial starter ships? I think you get into very fine margins of what each does at that point.
It's why I said I don't think snubs are proven yet, because drones are a thing. Why would you want to put a pilot at risk when you can just be in the ship and flying a drone and the drone dies? You either deploy another drone to replace it, even if it's half the strength of a snub. The pilot doesn't die, or again, the pilot doesn't die. I'd rather lose a drone and not lose the pilot.
Death of a spaceman. Death is going to matter. Why would you want to be flying around in a snub ship that might have a shield? It might not. If it does, it's going to be an awful one. Now you're not just risking a small snub ship, which will have some in-game cost to it. You're also risking a death on your character when you're better off just hopping into a industrial starter ship and having someone pull out an Idris or a Kraken or something like that as your support carrier. It just doesn't make sense. Why would you put yourself at risk like that?
Well, I think the best one I've heard for the counter to what you're mentioning is essentially insurance. If you have insurance and you're repetitively using insurance, your premiums go up, right? Like in real life. So basically, if you know you're going into a fight, you buy a premium insurance knowing that you're going to be, like I'm going into combat here. I know I'm going to die. So I'm going to pay extra for this. So I get a cheaper, it brings down the insurance premiums type of thing. So you basically invest in combat insurance type of thing. That's the best one I've heard for it.
But you still get a tick on your death of a spaceman counter for whatever that matters.
That was what they were saying. It wouldn't count to it because it was accumulate. It was something to do with it, right? They'll make up some bullshit gameplay law reason. But if you think of it like that, that also starts to make more sense to me. If you know you're a mercenary and you're on foot, and you pay a bit, like a part of your cost of doing business would be this insurance because you're going to die more frequently than other people. We'll see, because that could be weighted and balanced. But does that also mean all mercenary quest rewards have these insane prices and it prices other people out of it? $3 bajillion, I will only get paid $50K. I don't want to buy that insurance, so. There's a game balance problem there. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
As I said, we've only got... Actually, no, the bot's still up. We've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We would have had 8, but I accidentally deleted one. So I apologize to whoever I deleted. Questions left. But yeah, we've got 40 minutes left, so if you want to get a few more questions in, feel free. I think we put everyone to sleep, though. Jolm says, is the Liberator capable of carrying a medium ship on the 2 of its top landing pads? I'll let you take that one, Grayson, because I know you know the answer.
I'm actually pulling it up because I haven't looked at the Liberator. Liberator's not a ship I care about all that much, but
it depends on the ship.
No, you can't. No, you can't land. No,
you can't.
If it fits, it sits, but it's officially not supported medium. The Kraken is the smaller ship that supports a medium. It's got 2 medium pads.
Yeah, so it would be like extra small, I think. So like the Saber, Hornet, Arrow, and the Prospector, I think all fit on excess pads.
If you're using the old system, I use the S system because it's the only one that makes sense, because the developers have an internal system and an external system, and they often forget which one they're fucking talking about, and so they cross their wires a lot. So I talk about S1 through to S6. The Liberator has a single S1 pad up the front and then 2 S-size S2 pads at the back at the top.
Mm-hmm.
So think MPUV at the front or a snub, and then at the back you're looking at your light fighters right up until any ship before it jumps to an S2. So yeah. Like you wouldn't be putting a Mole or a Spirit or a Cutlass. Then they may physically fit, but they were not supported, as in there are other features down the track that they won't be able to do. Yeah.
With the current metrics of the Liberator, a lot of even small ships don't fit because they're too wide.
Yep.
So we'll have to see what they come up with for the actual release.
My hope is that they, like I said about the Crucible earlier, I would hope that the Liberator fits all heavy fighters. It just kind of seems that's what it's built for. It's built for the fighters. So why wouldn't every single fighter fit? And again, they're going to want this balancing act where you can't just put a Cutlass there. Because the way they seem to be doing that, and you guys correct me if you think I'm wrong here, is it seems to be through the fabricators. So if you look at the fabricator and the Liberator, for example, not the Liberator, the Ironclad Assault, it's only in size 1. So that really tailors it at the vehicles and the smaller light fighters, but it can't say repair its own larger size 2 or size 3 components because they can't be crafted.
Correct.
So, for example, if you had a medium ship and you try to land it on the Liberator and say they put a fabricator in the Liberator, not saying they have, but chances are they will, because they did talk about repair facilities. Well, when you do that, all of a sudden the medium one's not going to work. But it also implies, going the other way, that there's probably is a size 2 or a medium, so a size S3 sized fabricator on the Kraken, so you can craft and repair those components on the Kraken. As an example. So yes, it can fit on a ship, But can you functionally repair it? Probably not, because it's not going to have the tools to do so. So you can start to see now as things go through, there are more moving parts. Like every time something comes in, it's going to shift. And that's why me and Algon have always talked about that end game, like where we're going. Because if you look at it in the now, ship going to seem amazing in the moment. But think about all the ships you've seen. And I'm going to bring up Lemming's favorite word again, the C2. When that came out, there was literally a discussion between me, Paul, and Seer the Sixth when we were doing one of our first tier list show. For over an hour and a half, the three of us argued, and they were on the same side. Argon was peacemaker, because that's what he's like. He was in the middle, and I was dead against them, what they wanted to say. They were saying this thing is S tier. And I'm like, it is not S tier. I said, as soon as another ship comes along that can carry ships, this thing drops. And now, all these years later, well, they've got egg on their face. Because it's looking worse and worse as it goes along.
The C2 was great when you had auto-loading. If you have to do it yourself, it's terrible.
Yeah. But again, it was the only ship that could carry a vehicle at the time. Now look at the Ironclad Assault. You know, like all the vehicles that can do it now. That was my whole argument. And at the time, they thought it wasn't the biggest argument. But, you know. All right, can someone time out that guy in Twitch chat? He's a dickhead. Right. Chris Kuma-san says, I was joking, by the way. I was joking. Don't actually.
How do I time out? How do I time out Lemming? No,
no, it's not Lemming. It's Pete being a dickhead.
I know.
I think. Well, he's been a bit of a dick. But he actually said FC2 again. Oh my god, poor son of a bitch. Actually, you know, one day we're gonna have to do something for like a charity or something, and I'm just gonna get him to be like, I love the C2 as a permanent tattoo on his forehead for like a week. And then it'll be like a $5,000 donation or some shit like that to get that. Yeah. But it'll be worth it just to see him rage. I am wrong about a lot of stuff, guys. I am wrong about a lot. I am only human. So yes, feel free. I actually am totally cool with you guys telling me when you think I'm wrong. Like Drazen did today. He stood his ground. He said December. And I totally respect that. I think a part of this is trying to get to the truth. And I've said that before, right? I will be wrong, and hell, I'll say when I'm wrong. You know,
at the end of the day, a lot of just what the Inforunners, what you guys talk about, what we talk about. I am the Inforunners. It's a lot of it's theory crafting and speculation. There is truly no right or wrong. It's where has the game come from and where do we think it's going. We're not CIG. We don't have the answers, but that's kind of the fun of what we do here is the speculation and the theory crafting. So you know, don't get your panties in a twist.
No, and again, that's why I invite all the people on, because we want the differing opinions. We want to get to the truth, and we will fiercely debate and stuff. But that's a part of. You've got to be willing to have your mind changed too. If you just come in and you're not flexible, that doesn't work. And as I've said, every Inforunner has changed my mind on something, and vice versa the other way. So yeah, shit. What question was I up to?
We just did the Liberator question.
Yeah, we're fine. I marked down the ones you did.
Oh, you deleted them? Shit, where am I up to?
No, I just marked them. Thumbs up.
I'm up to here. Oh, okay. Question to Captain Walt Ha. Is that the one? Yeah. Yes. You confused me. Right. They would need this tech for the Liberator. I assume players would need to be able to walk on deck while it's moving. No, because that's just that's stuff that we already have. It's like on the landing pads. They technically have a gravity on the landing pads. I can see you thinking there. I can see why you've gone that way, but this is a different type of tech because it's essentially gravity in a barrel. So so if you think about a landing pad, like when you go into a landing pad at the moment, you literally drop if you're too high and land on it, right? We're talking about one where the center of gravity is the entire edge of that barrel. So depending on if you were to fly in the back, right? Depending if you're too high, you're gonna kind of rotate and fall towards the roof. If you walk in and you're too low, you're gonna just drop to the floor. And same thing if you go to the left and right. It's have I explained that properly? Does that make sense to you guys? All right, cool. Yeah. Sometimes I explain things and I'm doing it off the cuff, so I'm like, oh man, I feel like so convoluted in how I'm explaining this. I I don't think I'm the best at explaining things, but people at Top of the Years apparently I'm really good at, like with the CCUs and stuff. But it always feels like double Dutch trying to explain something really complicated to someone. Anything else you want to add to that, guys? I think that's pretty self-explanatory, though. Yep. Sergeant Perry says, if discussed earlier, disregard, will rewind. But any opinions on Astro being dropped by CIG? How do I put this? I think he was just speaking what he was told. Obviously, he's pissed someone off at CIG. Obviously, I don't like it because he's my friend. But I understand why it happened. I think that's all I can really say. You know. But what else do you say? You know, you don't like to see anyone get in trouble.
I don't want to get you in trouble, but I think it's not necessarily the hardest thing to get on their shit list, so to speak.
Yeah,
but maybe
well, it happened with well, for example, we know Space Tomato got removed for
Tomato,
and then he got put
not
back
even
on
for something he did. It was just he had the platform there. Somebody asked a question or whatever had happened, and he got put on the list. So it's kind of like it's very subjective, you know.
Yeah.
You just have to super mind your P's and Q's.
Yeah, I had a thing where no, I haven't been punished or anything, but something was wrong with my email and I wasn't able to email people at CIG, like official people. And I had to actually go around and get someone to go in and tell them that I'd been somehow blocked. And when they checked it, I had been blocked, and they unblocked it. And they said that we don't know why I'd been blocked, but somehow I'd been blocked. And so they unblocked it, and it's all good again. But yeah, it was so you know, I don't know. Assume he pissed someone off, rubbed someone the wrong way. But you know, I don't know. Hopefully he gets back in their good graces sooner or later. I'll just leave it at that. I don't know what else to add. Right, Sako Guru says, do you think that they are going to have a ship or something in Star Citizen attached to pre-order for Squadron 42 to rope older backers into another purchase? I think they are very most likely to have digital-only editions to start with, because producing physical copies is really hard to do so. I think they're going to be available on every PC platform under the sun, and I think you're going to have multiple editions. As for what is included in them, your guess is as good as mine. Because I sit here, what I would want would be very different to what one of you guys may want, yeah?
Yeah.
So, for example, some people might want things for Squadron itself. Other people would want things for Star Citizen. But you got to remember, they are separate games. So, for me, I don't give a shit about skins in a single-player game. Like, none.
Yeah, I was talking with one of my friends, and I was like, hey, I think it'd be really nice, depending on what level of difficulty you beat the game on, you get like some cool armors or ship skins or whatever for, you know, it's kind of like for like Halo. I'm thinking back in Halo 3, you do legendary all skulls on. We call that lasso run, right? You get some cool armor sets that you can show off in multiplayer. You know, the PU is very much a peacocking game. You know, I would want to see things where it's like, hey, if you're pre-ordering, you're going to get stuff in the PU. And I also think Squadron functions as a escalator to the PU, where you finish it and they're wanting you to get in. So why wouldn't, if they do have pre-order bonuses, why wouldn't they tie it to the PU, or just have a starter package tied with the pre-order? So it's just the Squadron 42 PU starter pack thing. I think it'll just be reskinned, essentially.
Yeah, I think if you look at what they kind of offer already, that's probably something akin to that. So like you said, pre-order skin or something. What I'm thinking in my head, right? So I'm thinking of what other people do, and I'm not saying they should do this, but I think the worst case... Do you know whether they did that thing in... Oh, what was the game? That Star Wars game that was absolutely hopeless by Ubisoft. Oh, God, it came out last year. The one where you played as the smuggler chick that was like female Han Solo. Someone will mention in chat, but
the Star Wars whatever game.
They had a Sorry, Outlaws. Yeah, that was it. Outlaws. Star Wars Outlaws. So they had this. I can't remember exactly what it was for, but they had this mission with Jabba the Hutt, right? And it was like an exclusive mission on the most expensive version. And so that's what I would not want them to do. You take something that someone really wants to see, Jabba the Hutt, and you make it an exclusive mission, knowing that people will pay extra just to play that one mission to see Jabba the Hutt, right? I wouldn't want there to be like extra missions or something like that. I wouldn't want to gate anyone out of gameplay. But by the same token, real simple things you could do, like we do know the Gladius has a Squadron 42 skin. So could you, if you buy the Squadron edition, could you get the Gladius skin from Squadron 42 available to use in SC?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and it's just a skin.
Or they do like the test flight squadron, the 777s. Maybe it's like, hey, you're gonna earn the Squadron 42 stuff by playing the game to use in the PU, but here are the stuff you can't get by playing the game.
Exactly.
It's the 777s, and it's the skins for these certain ships. You know.
So we had always assumed the F8 was going to be the ship you were given for finishing Squadron 42, but then they released it. So what we think they've done is they've made something else. We think there's another ship, because if you essentially think about it, Squadron 42 is the rep grind for the UEE, right? So as you go through and you
citizenship,
as you go through and you rep grind the okay, I've unlocked the Gladius, I've unlocked the Hornet, I've unlocked the Super Hornet, I've unlocked the Mark II, I've unlocked the Gladiator, whatever the list of ships is that you can play as you unlock them, they are then available for purchase in Star Citizen. And if you get right to the end, that last ship, whatever it is, the F8 or whatever, we were just like, cool, that's the last one. Now you can go play in Star Citizen. And they did talk about this way back at the beginning, if you've been around as long as some of us have. That they talked about unlocking those ships. And you could go at any point, you could just stop playing, and that's as far as you got. But if you wanted to go back and do UE rep grind, go back and keep playing Squadron.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could be the F8A, could be an upgrade to the the F8A. It could be an F8X or the F7X. I think there are a lot of those like top line ships that they could totally tie it into.
Is it the F7X that's Cal Kestis' Citizen Ninja? I think that's what he's mentioned in the chat. Yeah, so it could be Cal Kestis is available if you finish the game to fly the thing. It could be an F8A that's available to fly. Like, there's a couple of ships there that we know that exist that they could easily make available. In fact, could you be an arse and make it so it's an F7A edition, an F8A edition? Could they be the rare things that you... So if you buy the standard edition, you just get the game. If you get the deluxe edition, you get the F7A. If you buy the one above, you get all of them, And again, there was a leak that appeared apparently on... it was... what was it? One of the two leak sites talked about it. Discourse talked about it, and it only appeared, and only a certain select few number of people saw it. But multiple people collaborated. They'd seen stuff on the store that showed like 3 versions of the game: one at $60, one at $100, and one at $150. Right, and they didn't have names. They didn't have anything listed that was. They had things like tokens. They said 50 tokens, 100 tokens, 150 tokens. So if it's just tokens, does that mean that you can use them to buy special things on this store? Like, is there merch there? Is there skins there that you can buy? Like, or is it literally they're just going to be representative of what they're worth in that final edition? But I think that's got a lot more credence now working in today, knowing that it looks like it's coming, boys and girls. So, yeah.
And adding tokens for a special kind of credit or whatever seems a bit.
Yeah, I think it's just a fill in, but I'm just
placeholder would be better. Yeah.
Yeah, but it did list it as tokens. So again, I think it's a placeholder.
I think it's very likely you'll get something at least for in-Star Citizen because they want people to go from one game to the other.
Yeah, I think they clearly want to have ties between the two. We've all kind of talked about it in the past about how they want to kind of try and transfer that audience over, but yeah.
I
think
got D&D, so I'm
right.
gonna have to love you and leave you.
All right.
Thank you for having me, X, and best of luck tonight.
Thanks for joining
We'll
us.
talk to you soon. All right.
Have fun, nerd.
Yep. Later.
Right, me and Ash, all the way to the end. We've got about 20 plus minutes left, so we've got about 10 questions left. We should be good though. Joel again says, what do you think that the Squadron 2 game packages will cost, and what do you think the packages will contain? I think we just kind of went through that. I just reading the same question and didn't tick it.
Yep.
Right. Chris Kuma-san says, if they keep delaying Squadron, some people will crack lol. I don't think it's coming in 2026. I think it makes sense that C is working to be done a ton of marketing on it. Question. I just don't think they got the money to do the marketing. I think that...
Well, not just that. They said they weren't going to do a lot.
Yeah, true. I think the best marketing they have is us. Anyone that is in marketing will tell you word of mouth is the best method. And all of us finally going to our friends and going, hey, asshole that mocked me for the last 15 years, try this, dickhead. And, you know, obviously streamers playing it and stuff like that will basically, I don't know, pretty colors, you know. Right.
It's likely that's why you all got the invites.
Yeah. But I also, you know, I think they want it to go as far and wide. Yeah, well, again, it's free. We have to pay to get ourselves there, so it costs them nothing. But if we turn up and cover it, well, it's all free advertising, isn't it? So, yeah. Again, I can't see it not being the game. Like, all that lines up to me. Like, what, you wouldn't just invite people to announce a date. You would just tell them the date. Do that as an announcement, and I think that's what Gamescom's going to be. And I think the actual thing is October.
Give people an actual play test. Let them stream and talk about it, and then release like a month, 2 months later. It doesn't seem like a bad plan, because then you can still pick up on things that they figure out while playing.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Right. Next question is from Quiet Chaos, who says, do you think COG will move away from Death of a Spaceman for more casual gameplay, such as Death has less friction for mainstream audiences? I think it will probably have to be tweaked, and I did kind of say that before. Like, I can see other ways of keeping it a relevant thing. A lot of people think because of the frequency of death you need to remove it, but I think you can do it in another gameplay mechanic, like I said, with insurances. So you pay more insurances when you know you're going to die and stuff like that. So better medical cover and stuff like that. There is gamification to it that you can basically use. First time chatter.
We got another one from Chris Kuma.
Hang on.
I think Galaxy Rear will be bigger than initially pitched. The pocket carrier of the Tailu is likely the start of more pocket carriers, like the Galaxy will take it further. Thoughts?
I missed that one, sorry. Crafty Method, first time chatter, says wingsuit base jump would be cool. Also, if it makes you wonder how people might mod Squadron 22. Yeah, flight suits and gliders will definitely be a thing eventually. But again, they're not really in Squadron. So you got to remember, everything that we've kind of got in SC is a hand-me-down. Even that gravity tech that we saw, that's a hand-me-down from Squadron. So until we actually get the baby out the door with Squadron, I think we're going to start to see more stuff. I've just been waiting for Squadron to get out there, because it'll essentially, they can actually start putting some people on Star Citizen with some gusto, and I'm just interested to see the rate at which it starts to develop, because I think 12, maybe 2 years, so 12 to 24 months after Squadron, I'm going to sit there and look at it and go, this is too slow, this is too fast, and that's kind of what I want to be able to judge, and I can't do that until Squadron's out. Squadron's just taken up too much. They just don't have enough staff and enough people to pull off what they're trying to do. This is a very large game, very technical game. And again, if you get one network guy or one graphics guy or one, optimizer of code guy, and they're the linchpin of a team or wherever they're working around, it just slows everything down. And again, if you know anyone that does work in game development, a lot of these people, like a coder, right, can also work at a different software company, like a medical software company or a military or the government or whatever, and they get paid heaps more money. So a lot of the people that work there are highly passionate and they want to be treated correctly as well. So if there's someone there that's pissing them off, or they're not being paid enough, like there's a myriad of reasons why they want to leave or stay at a place. So you need that environment. A lot of factors got to line up, is what I'm trying to say. Long story short, not waffling too much, but I don't know if you, Ash, you do a bit of software stuff, didn't you, from memory?
I'm more on the hardware end, but I mostly agree with you.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Oh, but you've had troublesome people at your work. I think we all have, no?
Oh yes.
You met this asshole I work with. His name's Algrid. Oh, they're old and crusty. So old and crusty. No, clip that. I'll get in trouble. Cody Fox says, question, could the burning ship shown in today's sneak peek be the Basher? I did not look close enough.
I have to be honest, I haven't seen it.
It's here somewhere. Give me a minute. I opened it. Here it is. Would it be the Basher? You know, you could be onto something there. I've got no idea. It's pretty dark. Hang on, I'll flip this over. So let's zoom and enhance. Yeah, what the fuck is that? That is interesting all of a sudden. Is it two separate things? Like this looks like some kind of thing, and then
it looks like the start of Siege of Orison, so it might just be set dressing.
Well, this looks like a tire here. This almost looks like an Ursa, and then there's something else here in front of it. Yeah, this is like orange or red, and this is like darker. But I can see this part here does look like a ship. I don't know. I think it's probably just the angle. I think yeah, I think it's set dressing, to be honest with you. We'll see. We'll see. It's very, very dark. Yeah. Well, Siege of Orison. Was it the? What's the name of that movie? Undercover Siege or something was it called? What was the old movie? And then the references to Steven. Yeah, and the references to Steven Seagal because he was the cook. So you can see you can see the connected dots. Siege of Orison, The Siege is the movie. Under Siege, that's it. Thank you, Citizen Ninja. Under Siege is the movie, and then in that movie, Steven Seagal played the cook. It all lines up. So yeah. Did we do that one from Chris? Oh no, Chris Kumar. I think the Galaxy's rear will be bigger than initially pitched. The pocket carrier of the Tulu is like the start of a pocket carriers. I think Galaxy will take it further. Thoughts? Well, the Pisces is bigger than the. It's not a snub.
The Pisces doesn't fit in the new Gattax ship. They might make it a little wider so you can land two.
Yeah, the pad problems. It's not as simple as that. Yep. But the Galaxy, it's pretty much built for the Pisces. I don't think you'll fit an Aurora in it. I think Aurora's a bit bigger, but I could be mistaken. But there may be, like, you might be able to put a Golem Ox in the back of it or something like that. We'll have to wait and see. But I really do wish they started using metrics a lot more. It just makes it, instead of going all these, like, they literally took the piss out of themselves on that video showing you all the stuff that doesn't fit into the back of the Thule. But the other thing is, if they'd been using metrics all the way along, they could just go, it's a size 1 pad or it's a size 4 pad. You would instantly know it fits. And then think about all the stupid questions we get. They're gone. Metrics.
Yeah,
beautiful thing.
They should stick to the pad sizes.
Yeah. Brillavilius says, what would you have snubs be if not industrial combat snubs? Are clearly worse than combat drones when it comes to insurance and deaths. Yeah, I agree. I have absolutely agree. Oh, actually, I read that without. If they were, I read that without a break. What would you have snubs be if not industrial? ? Combat snubs are clearly worse than combat drones when it comes to insurance and deaths. I agree.
Yeah, of course. A drone pilot can be on your main ship. A snub pilot has to be in the snub.
Yep.
I completely agree.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know, just where my brain goes, like, I want them to start taking their own law seriously. I've wanted them to do that for a while because It's not a necessity, right? But it just makes the game richer. And at some point, they're going to have to start following their own rules. And yeah, they're not. And if they don't like the law, then rewrite all the law and then make it concrete. You know what I mean? Like get it etched in stone type of thing. Harold Sparks, theory crafting might the Nautilus laser mines be remote controllable? Why would you want to remote control laser? Oh, do you mean the sentries? You mean the sentries?
I don't think you'll be able to control the mine sentries from the Nautilus.
I'm going to tell you right now, awesome gameplay feature if you could though. You imagine sitting in the Nautilus as like there's like a control room or something in there, and if you've planted all these sentry turrets, you could point them at the same target. That would be amazing. Almost like the globe, you know, the globe where you control the globe with machines, but instead of the globe, you are literally just like laser pointing what you want them to attack. So you're in a turret, like a laser control turret on top of the Nautilus, and whatever you point at, all the sentries try and shoot.
Well, that
actually changes the Nautilus for me quite a lot. Someone clip this and send it to Grim, because I think that's a cool idea. Oh, I hit the wrong button and disappeared. Right, my bad. I'm back. And you probably lost my sound there too. Anyway, right. Parker says, with Odin concept at end of work, what concept ship would be redone next? Oh God, too many.
There's so many.
Too many. I've said before, I like the idea of taking the Aurora and doing exactly what they did with the Aurora with the Coddy. So making it a Mark IIing it and making it modular. But I could sit here and go Starfarer, any of the original older ships, Freelancer. I did we did an event in my org last night where we were unloading Freelancers. You want to see infuriation? Most infuriating thing I've ever done. And I was there with Expat doing it. And there were, in the middle section of the Freelancer, so we unload all the back cargo, right? They're all two SCU cargo boxes. And then we got to the fucking door. And it barely fits through the door. Like, you just clip it ever so slightly and the whole thing fucking rotates and you can't get it out. So you got to go back in and reset the box and then pull it out again. To get those 6 boxes out takes almost as long as the entire back to get out. It is so frustrating. Which clearly shows the ship needs a rework. But yeah. Painting, sorry. WizZaber says, after seeing the Raelian, is there any Gattack ships you would like to see made? For me, I'd like a Gattack Galaxy or Caterpillar. Ash, I'll let you on that one first. So essentially a modular alien ship. Ash, I think I lost.
Likely that we'll get one of those as well. They said that the aliens need a full set of ships and capabilities as well. So, yeah, you're likely to see each one of them. So mining, salvaging, well, we got hauling.
Yep.
We got a carrier now. So, yeah, modular, why not?
Yep. No, I agree. Just like they've done with the humans, I can't see them not taking the same tech and applying it to all of the Xi'an. And I think the more you lead into certain alien species, it becomes a lot more evident, like a Banu series, because Banu ships are very organic. And so trying to build those through a kit is going to be even more difficult. So I think you're more likely to see variants or modular pieces in the Banu, probably more than any other race I can think of, to be honest with you. But again, you're essentially asking me to design a ship in my head and then give you all the variants. That is not a question I can answer quickly. I would have to sit. That's the type of thing I would sit down and grill over for hours. And I've done really. You had heard Algrod and I talk about the Remora. Ash, you remember the Remora? I first drew that in Photoshop over about 4 hours, and it's real simple. What it is, it's just all line art. But I was trying to refine the shape of it and stuff like that. But again, and then I showed it to Algrod, and then he ran with it as well, and it goes to a different place when you involve others. But yeah, Point stands.
Yeah, it's the same thing Grim's been doing with, for the Argo Capital, for example.
Yeah. And I love doing that with him. That was so much fun, just sitting down there and like chewing the fat. And I can't model as well. I can't model for shit anymore. I used to be really good at it, but not now. I haven't done it in almost over a decade, so yeah, I've lost that skill. Right, sped up M5B, I think that's what it's meant to be. Question, when do you think salvage may actually be meaningful in our system, since the current crafting mechanic doesn't use any of it? When do you think salvage will actually be meaningful? Oh, well, I think with base building. I think base building is...
that's what they said. You're going to be salvaging specific company parts as well. Mm-hmm. So Anvil parts, Argo parts, alien parts, whatever.
Yep.
Instead of the RMC and scrap we got now.
Yep. And it'll be the same thing with the mining. You'll need the right mined materials for the right thing and stuff like that. Yep. No, I totally agree with all that. Rabbit SC says, question, is the Star Citizen universe supposed to function without player interaction, like auto battler dice rolling for faction interactions when players don't participate for zone control and econ? Yes, but so this is the hard part to explain. So basically there's a simulation server, right? And that simulates or abbreviates, might be the way to do it, abbreviates things through the simulation. But if it detects that there is a player running from A to B and there's also an AI running from A to B, it increases the likelihood that those two ships will come out of warp and appear next to each other, as an example. It might go, oh, you're going to collide, so we're going to drop you out of warp so you can have this interaction. Or, I'm at Hurston, a capital city, or Lawville, at a capital city. Therefore, I'm much more likely to see the AI ships that are arriving at the port. Right? It's heavy trafficked area. I'm more likely to see them. But the simulation will go, right, I've just sent in a cargo hauler size 1 for a ship. And then it'll look at the size 1 ships. Here are the, these are the haulers. It's most likely to be this. So it's an approximation or abbreviation. It is not true to life, but it could I think you could go a step further and it could permanently save that AI character and permanently save its ship name if it is not a new ship character, if you know what I mean. So you could eventually make all these AI have backstories if you wished. And I don't know how far they're going to take it, but you could. It's just how far they want to take it. So it's only ever going to run inside that simulation. It's not going to run without human intervention because you're only ever going to see it when there's human intervention, so to speak. Ash, is that how you see it from what you've read in the past?
Yeah, they'll be running it in the background. They haven't really talked about this specifically, like Vandal conquering a system. Maybe they talked slightly about that, but any of the pirate factions controlling a gate, for example, they never talked about it. But logically, it would be part of Quantum or whatever it's called now. And
they did allude into things like it'd be really hard to control the jump gate because then other AI would come push back on you. They'll try to find other ways around, all that type of thing. So again, AI is meant to be 90% of the players, so to speak, in this game, and we only make up 10%. And that's so they can counterbalance things that, in other games, big orgs would run the entire economy, as an example, right? Well, you can't run the entire economy if you're only 10% of it. So they can just take AI and feed them against the people doing it. It's a gameplay balance mechanic is the easiest way to look at it.
Yeah, and when they bring back the NPC police and factions and stuff like that, I think you'll see more like them attacking pirates and coming to your help when you get intercepted by pirates, stuff like that.
So Rabbit has a part 2 of his question. He says, for example, a UEE security fighter xenothreat at a jump gate and lose, so XT gains control of the jump gate and it leads to a system-wide emergency and escalating conflict. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's kind of what I just said.
Yeah. And they've also alluded to public events, right? So not all the time, but maybe like once a day, you might have like Xenothreat, and that will become those public quests or public events that you see kick off, and they'll probably put some kind of news bulletin up. Pyro Xenothreat, and you're in Stanton, you can go over to Pyro and join in the event. You know, they are essentially public quests if you've ever seen those in other games. And people will come to them because there will be those events where very lucrative stuff is on. Jumptown is another one. They are essentially setting up for public quests. I think you would agree with me on that one, Ash?
Yeah, Blemsmith also just says, they said locations may evolve to reflect the state of a system. That's correct. I forgot about that.
Absolutely. Like, everything is so dynamic that me and Arrogant have actually theorized. Could you look at how Pyro is, right? Now, you can see that it's made out of the stations. Look at the stations, right? They are made out of the same material as the stations in Stanton. They just have different textures. And me and Arrogant theorized this, right? Because of how dynamic it is. And they've talked about outposts. If an outpost is not utilized, it'll break down. All the rust and that, like all the weather tech that we've seen on the ships, is on the buildings. So if that all breaks down and you get all the rubbish fill in and all that, but then can I come back and can I restore it all? And it's the same thing with the space station. If I'm in Pyro and I'm one of those gangs, can I, as a player, come in and essentially want that station so badly for some reason, like there's a rare resource found on a planet and this is the closest station, can I come in and essentially annex them out, and can I take it over and maintain it and turn it into the same quality as one in Stanton? Can we get these cyclic effects where Pyros are pushed into Nyx and Nyx is pushed into Stanton and Stanton is pushed into Pyro? Can you get that kind of moving effect where, you know, the person with the most money just goes where their pleases, and essentially like a trickle-down economy? And I think it may be possible with what they're building.
It should be possible.
Yeah. They've talked about having, you know, if you have heaps of people, a city will expand. Can I have an outpost? Can I start out as Alred's old man's little farm, and I move in next door, and before you know it, there's a whole village there, and all of a sudden that village gets, like we've seen in other games where you put down a cornerstone or something like that, like a foundational building. Once you put down that foundational building, it allows the entire outpost to morph into a town. And then at a certain point, you get another building that goes from a town to a city. So it's maybe a spaceport when you become a city.
Maybe it will have to be fully player driven. Build up your own cities, bases, whatever.
Yeah. You know, it can be really interesting. I don't know how perfectly they can do it, but again, they talk about this dynamic universe. Well, if we are the people that are making it dynamic, that instantly just, and you make the AI use the same stuff we do, you can see it. You can see how the whole universe is going to make itself. Like, we can build most of it. It'll be amazing. You know, oh, I don't like Hurston, Lawville, so I'm going to make Jacksonville on the other side, and I'm going to start a rebellion, and I'm going to annex the Hurstons off Hurston. Like, can I do that? Like, and that would be sick, because that gives you motivation. If you get that tied up into the lore, you see where I'm going, Ash? Like, I can see people getting into that.
Dream, right?
Yeah, I could totally see that as a motivation to just like, I want to turn the world upside down, everything. So yeah. Right. Ace Noble says, question, I'm looking for my first large ship to purchase in game. Which one has a medical bed and a good amount of cargo? Ooh. Not everyone's got medical beds, so I think that kind of rules a lot out straight off the bat.
The only one that kind of does what he says there would be the tech.
Well, technically the Apollo's a large ship now too.
Yeah, but it doesn't really have a good amount of cargo.
No, it does not. But I think you could go bigger than that too. So you can obviously go Carrack and Polaris. I think there will be other ships that come down the game that do this as well. Yeah, I put that back to you, Ace Noble, if you're still here, and it was one of the last 3 questions, so I got to assume you're still here. What other gameplays are you into that might help steer us in direction? So you've just said medical and cargo. That's kind of general. What other things are you into? Exploration? You're into? Just give me the top 3 gameplays you're into, and that'll help us steer it.
The only 2 large ships that do what he says are the Starlance Attack and the Carrack.
The Polaris?
At the moment.
Polaris.
Hmm?
The Polaris.
Polaris is a capital. He says large.
Yeah, we just go larger and then down.
Yeah, true.
You are technically correct, though, yes, if you are talking about large. All right, so I'll let him get back to us on that. I don't see his name in... It was a YouTube question, so keep an eye out for Ace Noble, and hopefully he gets back to us on that. His question was from 9:49. It was over an hour ago, so maybe... I don't know.
Yeah, he's not there anymore.
45 minutes ago, he's gone. Apologies. Right, Chris Kumasan says, last question. No, actually, it's the second last question. Do you think the Galaxy will have an exploration module at any point? I certainly bloody hope not. I think it... At 4 modules, I could see it getting more, but exploration is such a niche. Never say never. Never say never. Ash, what do you think?
I don't think so, and that's mostly because, well, if you've seen for the exploration, they need extra scanners and stuff, and that's all outside work.
That was my point. Yeah,
the module is literally, well, it's 90% internal, so it would be really hard to do that.
Same problem with the base building drone thing. They'd have to build exterior stuff into it. Now they may do that. I guess we'll find out. And that would actually up the chance of something like this happening. But my hope is they just make it build ships or build vehicles.
Also, what's exploration? There is no exploration yet.
It's coming. And again, a ship of that size would directly compete with a Carrack. So
yeah, then again, Carrack is Anvil. This is RSI.
Yes,
they had more ships in the same brackets.
Yep.
So it's in that way it would be possible.
But if you look at the ship order, niche, modular, niche, variant, modular, the modular shit's right at the bottom. So
true.
We already have other ships, like the Aquila is not that going to be just under the Galaxy. You've also got the Carrack that is literally the same size. So instantly, as soon as that thing comes in, I know people are wanting the versatility. I see that. I see why would I buy 5 ships when I could buy 1? I get that. But no, yeah, never say never. But just with the external thing, that was exactly where I was at with what Ash was saying. So yeah. Last question. Wakefield on Twitch says predictions on what ship brand may get a focus next. We have RSI. Well, we also had Drake, and you also I think Misk is. We've had a few of those already. Ash, what are your thoughts on that at the moment?
Well, we had most of the Drake lineup now, so they're really working on that. We had some of Anvil, some of Misk.
Yep.
So, yeah, both of those. Anvil still has a lot to work out.
Yep. Alrighty. Well, I'm looking for someone to raid on which. I just don't know anyone here. So, usually ask if unless you know someone. Ash, I normally ask Dafty Digit. He normally knows someone he wants to raid.
No, I don't really watch a lot of streamers, to be honest.
actually, I think we'll just do that. We'll just raid Dafty Digit. He's actually streaming with Bite Size Hobbit. So who do we raid him or do we raid Bite Size Hobbit? We're gonna raid Daft. He's a mod, so we'll raid Daft. Because I don't know anyone else there. Just give him heaps of grief and shit. That's all you got to do. Tell him he does a terrible job as a mod. Nah, he's hearing me now. He knows we're coming. That's the worst part. He knows we're coming. He's already heard my name. Wait, Paul's live? Wait, Paul is live. Hang on. What's he playing?
He's streaming MechWarrior.
He's playing MechWarrior though. He's not doing Star Citizen. Alright, well, look, we'll do it. You guys just tell me in chat, in Twitch, what do you want? Do you want Paul or do you want Daft? Tell me. First 3 that come in, that's where we're going for. Daft or Paul? Right, we're at 1 for Daft. Still waiting. Come on, guys. The Switch people, they can't type. They're old. 2 for Daft. 1 for Paul. 3 for Daft. 4 for Daft. All right, Daft it is. All right, Red Daft. Right. Yeah, just give him heaps of grief and ask him what he thinks of the the talo lily. See what he says. Right. And you gotta do it like I did. You can't do it like it's not meant to be. You gotta do it with the tongue. All right, Twitch, say goodbye to YouTube. YouTube, say goodbye to Twitch. Ash, say goodbye.
Yes, good evening all. Talk to you later. Have a good weekend.
And they're off. Let's have a listen in to Daft Digit mumble and fumble.
You a member? Let's go! Welcome in, Inforunners! Hope you had a great rest of your stream. 07s, everybody, welcome in. We're using the railing. And Joshy, what? You can't get on the elevator?
All right.
Oh no, Seg, I was following you.
Hope you have a good stream, guys. All right, with that then, don't forget to, anything you add, anything you want to hear from people in the comments below besides the evil competition? I guess I'll mention that one more time. This video, or the 2 buyers guides, the biggest group is getting deleted. They're deleted. And then the other 2 will win, based on the number, they'll either win a Raelian or a Tutuli. Yeah. Anything we add, Ash, before we go?
No, not really.
Are you laughing at me, sir? Are you laughing at me? Felt like you're laughing at me.
Me? No, never.
Always, man. Anyway, all right, with that, then, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and everyone the extra mile on Patreon at the end of the video. Thank you for joining me, Ash. Thank you for joining me, Drazen. Thank you for joining me, Expat, and Grim for filling in for the old man because he wasn't here today, and hopefully he's feeling a lot better. All right, with that, then, he's been Drazen. Not Drazen. I read the name. He's been Ash. Thanks for joining me, Ash. See you guys next time. Say goodbye, Ash. See you, citizens.
See you all.